Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm excited to play.
So welcome back, one and all properly to Blood Bonds. The Ashen Court is about to reassemble. Now, last time, Amanas and Vicus were away, dealing with other matters, partly retraining the army, partly working on the spy networks, and just overall assisting with preparations for your upcoming invasion.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, your mages were conspicuously absent, as they apparently had businesses elsewhere to deal with.
There was no witches involved, I swear.
Let's get the prison ready.
Yeah, put it to the question immediately.
It has been several days. You're aware, Lord Ryden is still working on building the large smoke bomb distractions you requested.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Various training is going on. Lieutenant Jackson and Lady Mazzara are currently trying to secure alternate routes into Freyfrost Castle Town. You've heard great tales of apparently a bard running all over Vanterheim, spreading tales of your victory.
Yes.
Apparently, so much so that he managed to turn it into a slight drinking chant at one of the local taverns.
Awesome. Money well spent.
And other than that, you've also had the two clerics who have volunteered to assist you, Sister Fiona and Brother Thane, around your castle, helping to patch up your troops and helping to ease their worries.
Oh yeah.
You even heard two of the soldiers apparently requested to get married under them.
Oh my goodness! Battlefield wedding. Love can bloom on the battlefield, guys.
Which Sister Fiona was pretty ecstatic about when
Oh, I can't imagine she was all over that.
That was like a silver lining out of all of the blood linens.
Silver lining to your blood linen is.
Yeah.
The couple ended up saving each other on the battlefield. Ended up patching each other up and fell in love.
No,
wow.
That's so cute. Man.
That's adorable.
It's adorable.
If we weren't like drunk cynics, all of us, there could be like a beautiful lesson in there somewhere.
No, forget about stupid lesson. Recruitment banner.
Oh yeah.
That's recruitment. There you go. Fuck free college.
Yeah.
Love.
Whatever.
Done. There you
go. You lonely? Have you had no affection in years? Join the army.
You could find love by saving another.
Love can bloom on the battlefield, and then like a picture of like Ceres looking wistfully out a window or something.
And some like horrifically hunky guy off in the distance.
He's like out in the army camp, and she like has to enlist to get there. Yeah, see.
Yeah, there you go. Easy.
Now we're talking, guys.
And recruitment has gone up 400%.
Man, we should have had a bard in the group.
While you and Vicus discuss this in the council chamber.
Going on for days.
Maybe it can be something for Rodrigo next.
There you go, it's Rodrigo's next task.
Horny
recruitment. That's good.
A runner ends up making its way up the A runner ends up making their way to the council room and knocks on the door for the two of you.
Alright.
Interrupted in the middle of the discussion of just thirstiness being a driving force in recruitment. Alright, fine. What does the young fella want?
The young master kind of stands at attention as you address him. She's looking rather nervous at the sound of the ice cream truck.
Ice cream!
It's a classic. There's always an ice cream truck in our session.
Dark, get me a 99 flake.
My lord, the tasty treats you ordered are here.
Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect timing. Always. I love it.
As said, it's always about 7:30 UK time.
All right.
At least as long as the sun months continue, it will be. Once autumn comes, it'll go away, but till then. But the messenger looks to you. Lady Saris and Lord Zed have returned along with a group of other travelers.
Yes, we meet them then.
They requested a meeting with you, if that's okay.
Yes, of course. All right, let's go.
Away!
I guess Seth will like ask Ceres before we go. Do you want me to take the floor? I'm feeling a bit cheeky.
I mean, cheeky. I mean, sure. Let's see how your cheeky goes.
Not well. I
Alright.
assume that.
Just let
Terrible.
me know if you want me to take over.
Absolutely awful.
Let's see. Shall we go then?
Let's go. Bust in the door.
Kick it down.
You actually bust in the door.
Ball in. We just kick it down.
Well,
like it's just like halfway, like off the seat, and then he's like, "Oh,
I got a baseball cap on sideways.
comes in a skateboard. Yo,
Yeah.
kids.
kickflip onto the table or table."
Halldamir,
Yeah.
can I have a strength save?
Straight. Yeah.
What?
Let's do it.
Has it kicked out the door?
Let's do
Yeah, the
it.
door just rebuffs you.
Nope.
Oh.
The rather heavy reinforced council room door ends up rebutting your foot with just a thud from the.
Sarah's
then
foot meets
check.
with sturdy dwarven woodwork
Yeah.
and is rebuffed.
I think we're just gonna have to open the door. Said sorry. I'm not Amanas.
I
shut the
fucking
door.
kicked down the
He does
door.
Oh, Jesus. It flies off the hinges.
I only needed a DC 10 for that. DC 20 would have broken the door.
Woo!
Kicks it in.
Goodness gracious.
You hear like a quiet thud, and then nothing, and then suddenly smash.
I mean, look, if someone smashes to the door, Vikings will throw.
I mean, we're like
something.
under attack, right?
Yeah, we're like ready to go.
Please take your ready deductions.
Yes. Smite!
Come on, do it.
Yeah, I think he has the wherewithal to wait and see who exactly it is before.
The large council table will also provide you cover.
Oh, well, that's good, yeah.
Ceresol said one at a time, I think. Not all at once, maybe.
Sure.
Just one at a time.
Who shall we start with?
Amnas looks over to Vikings. Are they going to kill us? Is that what's going on
Don't
here?
worry, my dear king. They're not gonna kill us. We are here for a show, I guess.
The guards standing in the hallway look really, really worried all of a sudden.
yeah.
Amnas looks to Vikings and says, "Oh my god, he's drunk."
You also see there are like more wrinkles in Zed's face. Like he's getting older.
It's also note they're both absolutely just covered in like frost and snow still.
Oh,
Yeah. Ceres will say, let's do the my one, like the taller one first. 'Cause the other one's like the third one is in the infirmary.
The auntie? The auntie?
The auntie, yeah.
Yes. We shall go with the auntie.
And then we'll do
Awesome.
the other one next because I think that will have the most shock factor.
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Good.
I like how you're sitting right in front of them.
Yeah.
Amnas is heavily considering just throwing them into the stockade for a while, just to have them sober up, because clearly they are just drugged out of their minds currently.
Now, my king, we are not drunk, at least not yet. Celebration haven't yet started. But there was been victory that has happened. Bit of bombastic what you might be hearing through the skulls in a couple days, I assume. We traveled with their aid to the north to get their temple cleaned, and we found some interesting things. Some bit more costly, depending on who you ask. I think it was decent prices.
I don't think they know where we went in the first place, Ed.
no, I have absolutely no idea where you have gone.
We should tell them what we went to go do.
I mean, do they care that we went to like an old skull temple in the upper north, where there was a druidic circle and an evil dark fairy of
He
ice?
nods.
Well, not
no-
evil.
And
Not
and
he,
the
he
Inquisition
nods slightly, and then he's like, "Evil dark fairy."
and the Inquisition that we had to clear out to appease the angered spirit that actually turned out to be pretty nice. Pretty nice.
Surprisingly.
Surprisingly nice. So you don't think they would care about? Okay.
So Amonas taps so you. Yes, I remember the mission. You were gonna go north and see if you could entreat the Scots for aid by talking to the Madame Moonlight or whatever her name was. He waves a
Yes.
gauntlet.
We get their aid at least by their young apprentice who took us at this old skull temple, which happened to be a Trudic circle and a home for a dark ice fairy. Very
I
lovely,
see.
I have to say.
The dark ice fairy was very lovely.
Yes, I think you would like her.
She was very pleasant. We do plan on going back for tea at some
Yes.
point.
You are also invited.
Yes.
What
That's
the
what-
hells?
Amonas glances over to Vikas and said, I have never seen anything like this.
Well, if you're so keen to parade, then show us what you have.
Yes. So for a small price of little bit of my lifespan, we got a Ceres's auntie. Not related by blood, but through friendship and rivalry between her mother. And a saucy story I have to tell. I haven't heard about that about. You have to ask the Ceres about that more, you know. But could the little auntie, well not little, old auntie, come here and express the new place for Ceres to grow into magistrate, I guess.
Yeah,
Because, you know, a powerful wizard has joined the court.
From that point, it's just this, like they're kind of like hyper, like clearly a bit unhinged speaking.
Oh yeah.
It's suddenly just there's a slight silence to the air as you just hear loud tapping of what clearly sounds like heels on the stonework. As what you see step around the corner is a very tall female, clearly a high elf or ice elf, depending on how you want to call them. Dressed in this rather fanciful white fur coat, though it does look like it's taken a bit of damage.
Does she have fangs, or is that just me imagining that from the picture?
You know, there is like it does actually have fangs.
Have you invited a vampiress into the courtroom?
You don't know what the dark fairy had in the court. This was the minor thing.
No.
As she works her way into the room, she definitely has a presence to her that anyone in the room who is familiar with like an arcane sense, she carries it like a wind following her. As you've grown stronger as you guys have travelled. As if some of her power looks like it's returned as you've been walking.
I think then Ceres will gesture to Kara and would gesture beside her and say, Your Grace, Amonas, and Vicus, this is my by kinship Auntie Mikara. She was frozen for a while, and through some dealings with the Fae that did in fact get the sneak attack on her first, has agreed to join our court and help us in our endeavors.
He looks at her and says, nods and says, well, I see, you found your aunt frozen in ice.
It has been a long story, to be sure. But I've been told that you're quite the individual, and I had to meet you. She gives a very elegant, though it's unfamiliar to you, but very elegant high elven curtsy.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Amonas wants to insight on Ceres here. Is Ceres being mind controlled by this horrific creature?
I think I'm gonna roll that as well because I don't trust.
I feel this is.
This is not a usual. Let's see. Is no.
Hey man, we've just had a good time, all right?
I got 15.
We've just had a good time.
You don't sense immediate malicious intent.
Okay.
What?
I'm not sure where that came from them, but you know.
Sure.
Zed might be actually drinking before this, so Amanda is true about that.
But yeah, you don't sense any immediate intent here, or like harm to any of you. Though she does also appear genuinely curious about all of you.
Well, I guess we'll kind of look her up and down. He definitely gauges more on not appearance, but like I guess their presence, and she certainly has one.
The air is kind of rippling around them a little.
Yeah, so he'll look at her for a time as the king says that, and he'll address her in Elvish and just say, "Well, I believe a welcome back is in order then for you."
Welcome back. She does reply in Elvish for this. I suppose that's appropriate. Losing a century to ice was rather uncomfortable.
Speaking of losing time, Zed, you mentioned that there was a cost.
A minor cost only. Couple years in my life.
How many?
I guess I cannot really lie. It's only 100 years.
Unless blinks.
Yeah, because it's like,
Now I only have 100 years to serve my king, which you have now a doom block, my king, a time block.
I would like to confirm, by the way. Makara speaks. I did not request such from him. He simply proposed it out of the whim to the malicious little ladybug.
I don't think she's malicious.
Yeah,
Unless blinks again.
She's very much of a nice fairy, but I know.
Yeah, she's fey, fickle as such, but not malicious.
I mean, she's as malicious as like any white fairy.
Any fey would be.
Except that she demanded your life to release.
I offer it.
Willingly.
He looks
because I do think this will be a great adventure between Ceres and little Auntie. And all of us. And to be honest, I found it interesting.
And with such a payment given, I could hardly turn my back on whatever cause that the two of these were fighting. That was no small price they paid.
Certainly not. Well?
Though I still do not understand why.
As I said, Vim sister of the old man.
She's generally just giving the most confused, and both of you with your insight would think she's being genuine. The most confused look at Zed again.
Yeah, I mean, Ceres is in the same boat. She's like, just shakes her head in disbelief and has been for like the last 2 days.
Zed smiles like all the plans are to come in together. Which is not very good from a smile on him.
Amenas will look Zed up and down and says, "Was that the only thing you paid for this? Fae are known to be rather greedy."
Might have to go back for tea and other servants and maybe, long time things. But for now, it's only 100 years and a visit for tea.
Amenas blinks again and says, "Well, Zed, your dedication to the cause is admirable. You have certainly given away more than most would ever do, and for that you have my utmost respect and thanks. However, he sort of looks onto Mikara up and down a bit.
She's looking you up and down, clearly also inspecting you.
So what what services can you offer us? He sort of looks towards her and says, Lady Mikara, or however you wish to be addressed.
Lady Makara will be fine. Though officially I'm not nobility, so I suppose Makara alone may be more appropriate.
He nods. So, well,
I am a arcanist of some, I would like to boast, significant strength. And will want with a sufficient supply of mana would be able to provide such services to you and your court.
and that certainly sounds promising. We are curious, however, how you ended up in the ice and imprisoned up there in the first place.
She sighs a little. That is to be expected. I already gave a version to the others, but I will give it to you now. It was, as said, about a century ago. At the time, my people had not yet retreated from the south here. I've not fully understood the implications that led to the condominium's retreat. But regardless. At the time, the silvery spires of the north, their pompous asses, had requested that, well, I investigate, as they were looking for one of the famed orbs of dragonkind.
Oh.
The location of which had been lost for quite some time. But there were rumors that the Skaldi knew of its location. And so I was sent, in no unpleasant words, to spy. But, as it turned out, I stumbled in a place that I did not expect her to be such a powerful guardian. And when the Archpixie attacked, while I dealt significant damage, she was able to freeze me in a block of ice. And that leads us to where we are now.
So he thinks back 100 years ago. That's when his father was still on the throne, right?
And it was, and it was kind of roughly when Ceres was like arrived like some point around then.
And he nods like and says, and you are related in some regard to Ceres?
Not by blood, but more in a familial way. I was close friends with Ambassador Telerial.
Oh, the good ambassador. I see.
She was, in essence, my roommate in the Arcadium, a magical college of sorts.
He nods. He understands. So does Ceres know Auntie Mikara in any significant way? Like, have they?
She was sadly an infant when I last saw her. She has grown significantly in the last century.
Ceres will look to the king and say, she identified me before I even mentioned myself.
You do resemble your mother very closely.
Trying to, like, clear the concern that maybe she's lying.
Yeah, that's what I'm probing at here.
Yeah, but like,
oh, you're my long lost nephew niece,
Yeah,
maybe.
no.
I had heard that Mina was sent to the south here to be ambassador. I did not realize, though, at the time that she had bared a child. And by High Elven custom, as I'm sure you're aware, that was not permitted to bring to the south.
Well, that is certainly a fortuitous circumstance then that our paths happen to cross.
I am more curious to why, of all places, he who should rule here now hides in well reconstructed. What I sense was not long ago an abandoned fortress.
Yeah, nods and says, it is a long story, and not to make it too dreadfully boring on you, I will summarize by saying that I was elected, named heir in a state of life where it simply didn't suit me. I was unequal to the task, and because of my incompetence, I did not see the betrayal coming. There was an attempt on my life, and perhaps even several, that we managed to escape, but during that night I lost the throne. And the four of us here, he indicates to Vikazet and Ceres, were the only survivors and witnesses to that night that I know of. We decided to flee for our lives and ended up here in Freyfrost, where the late Earl took pity on us and stowed us away in one of his backwater villages. And we lived on his dime for the last decade or so. However, with the Inquisition having stormed in the hunt for a blood elf witch and killed the Earl, well, our benefactor was gone, and I will say this event sort of stirred something inside of me. I have decided that I have had enough of drink and self-pity and misery, and instead I have embarked on a road of redemption, you might call it, of conquest. I aim to retake the throne and prove myself worthy of it. Raises a gauntleted fist. I am much more already than I was 10 years ago. Then I was a drunk and an idiot. Now I am a warrior clad in faith and deep, significant, glorious purpose.
And steel, by the appearance.
He looks at the dwarven maid, masterwork plate mail, and says, "And steel, faith and steel. That is how I retake the throne."
I did observe they tended to work best in combination, as such.
He smiles and says, "The fall from grace left me scarred in some way, deformed spiritually, but recent signs given to me indicate that we are on the right path. I believe the kingdom belongs to me. I was not worthy of it, and so was taken from me. And as such, I need to prove myself worthy to reclaim it. That is the quest before me."
She pauses and considers. It's a very, very long pause, so it's quite clear she's not used to, to her. It's just a moderate amount of time to think.
He continues, and he says, I have had some thought regarding this. And there are wrongs that need to be righted in the kingdom. All is not well, and I intend to do my best to do so.
Well, in service and favor to time returned to me, she looks to Zed. And as a favor to Mia, she looks then over to Ceres. As long as they choose to follow you, for the time being, I will offer you my abilities. It shall be interesting to see how your people deal with this. I must admit, I was not the most used to dealing with humans. Though she says that she's clearly looking more at Vickers than she is at you, and she says that.
Vickers notices and says, not to worry, I'm sure there is plenty of time for you to catch up.
At this time, I am not at my full magical strength. Much of my notes were destroyed, and the Archpixie took much of my belongings. But with some rest and a generous supply of mana, I would be able to provide some service, as long as it's not healing you require.
We have clerics enough for that, I think.
At this point, Ceres will speak up and say, no, I have a project that will be pressing in due course along the Blood Witch line. It's about time that we go offensive on the...
Ricard sneers slightly at the term Blood Witch. Seems to be a bad taste.
Mm-hmm. But Ceres will then look to the king and say, I would focus my group and Mikara's knowledge to the aim to track down the Blood Witch the same way she was tracking Theo and Vickers.
Yep, that makes sense. She is a threat that needs to be dealt with sooner rather than later.
I'm sure you will do just fine, but if you need me for anything, you need but ask.
Ceres nods to Mikara, and I guess like maybe Charlotte was hanging in the hallway.
She's like peeking around the corner very subtly.
Yeah, just say, Charlotte, I'm sure can show you to where we've tried to set up the best research we can do with limited resources.
And I will, yeah.
Charlotte just kind of stands to attention at being kind of called out a little bit. She kind of best she can, and she's okay at it, kind of passing it off as like no big deal. But she, yes, Mikara, I will. Let's also find you some quarters. She kind of gives a very curled smile. Then, until I am needed. She kind of bows her head, and after a pause, begins to walk out, the tapping of heels against stone.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, indeed.
Also,
For our next quest.
Very tall woman.
Before our next quest, I guess I should not hide this information from our king. The current deal is only for 100 years and a tea. But I do plan to make future deals with her. For similar of circle that... Similar circle as she lived in.
Amnes leans forward and says, as I said, I do appreciate the sacrifice you have made, Zed, and your continuing support of the cause. But I urge you to consider quite carefully before making such deals in the future. You might be an elf, and you might have a very long life, but you are not immortal.
I am not immortal, and that is the point. I don't plan to be one. But I need to pass my knowledge on something or someone. And for that, I need to make a Turic circle.
Nods. That makes sense.
And I possibly awaken a tree.
I see.
Okay.
A tree.
It's gonna live long and get a lot of knowledge in the future.
I mean, as having never heard of a tree that gives knowledge, considers for a sec, and then basically it's like, I mean, that presumably some sort of druid magics he has no idea of. But I mean, that makes sense to him, I suppose.
And wood elves are very plant magic-y. It makes sense, right?
Some strange, like, hippie magics. I mean,
From the strange hippie magic to our more eye-catching visitor that Ceres made the deal with the ice elf. Or ice fairy.
the frost vampire elf wasn't the most eye-catching, I see.
No. The next one is much more eye-catching and talented in a different way in the arcane tinko that will make you hopeful in the future. Smile happily once. And at least, if nothing else, she certainly is the most astonishingly eye-catching person that I have ever seen in my whole fucking life. And she will sweep the lore with the knowledge that she knows.
You're taking too long.
Sorry. Sorry.
And stepping into the room in fast, rapid step is this small gnome.
Oh god, it's a gnome.
Whose hair I can only describe as either an unkept bouquet or a wild fruit basket. It is a rainbow of colours as she walks in, a pair of bright goggles, and a bandolier covered in strange bottles around her. As she walks in, moving quickly and speaking quickly, not even pausing like her step before she starts talking. And so this is it then. This is the so high and mighty king I was told to bow to and that I would be in the service of. It is a pleasure to meet you. She gives a bow, but then just continues walking and talking. My name is Persephone, and I am the fantabularius, artificer, pyrotician, and cannoneer at your service. I specialize in making weapons, miracles, really anything you can ask for, though preferably I like something with a boom. And as it's been turned out, I heard that you're in the need of some high-grade experimental weapons, which means this should not only be this should be not boring for me, and this should be very useful for you. Now, I hope this business venture though can go well for us, as well, it would be terribly boring otherwise.
Just stared at the gnome as she sort of paced back and forth in the room, and he says, I see. Yes. Sort of can't really collect his thoughts about this weird creature in front of him.
I think Ceres will speak up and say, I don't know if you two remember, but do you recall some 10 years ago when I was experimenting with a large tube of iron that when I added crystals that it would explode and send a lump of something forward, at high velocity, and someone called it a cannon.
Arnas blinks at Ceres and says, Ceres, I, as you might know, don't remember much. Certainly not 10 years ago.
Then perhaps it's time for a demonstration.
Ceres puts her hands. No, wait, Persephone.
Vicus has a dive in front of the king before he's shot here.
Just about to hold up.
Just call your jets. We'll get to cannon soon.
She's already half started drawing something out of her coat, but she stops. Though she's still like half pulled out in the motion, but she stopped. Just paused.
Any displays of explosiveness would be better done outside buildings, or at the very least in your own workshop.
Certainly not in the
Preferably.
council chamber.
She slowly starts putting it back into the coat.
Hmm.
Also, I would remind you that I can be startled quite easily, and yes, perhaps don't do that to me.
Sarah's a smile and say, this one only cost a few mana crystals to release, and she will be aiding the research development team as well, though more in the stabby, boomy kind of.
I mean, you said only a few mana crystals. Judging by that half elf I passed on the way in and his reaction, it sounded like it was more than a few. He didn't look very happy with you for some reason.
He doesn't look happy with me for most reasons.
Deep frown.
Certainly was more than a few mana crystals, yes, in a sense.
So, am I to understand that you have, in effect, like bought prisoners, or like this is some sort of prison break? Clearly.
No,
No.
I had a deal. There were 3 people that were still alive, trapped in ice, that the Fae had trapped for trespassing in the temple. So I struck a deal with her. Mana crystals to speak with 2 and release 1. I spoke with Nikara. Spoke with the 3rd that I'm afraid the meeting with him she'll have to wait. And the release of Persephone, though sometimes I do regret, my ears do regret that choice.
Trust me, you won't come to regret it. So I do recommend earplugs when we start getting around to the experimentation phase.
Very much.
Wonderful. Thankfully, it's under Ceres.
Amulet looks at Persephone and it's like, and why were you imprisoned, if I may ask?
Well, that was a bit of a long story, but I'll roughly summarize for you the best I can here. Essentially, I went ahead and hired my own little bit of adventuring group. As you see, I was working on a project for my previous employer, who I'm fairly sure is dead at this point, given he was a half-orc, and it's been a very long time. Regardless, he employed me to try and build what he was only able to describe as a weapon capable of shooting ice very, very powerfully across a room. Seemed like an odd choice to me, but I went with it. The issue is, getting an item that produces elemental ice is not easy. There are a few ways you can go about this, but the way I thought would be best is obtaining the essence of ice methods. I could then use that to translate the arcane energy into an ice blast. Would make sense. I just didn't expect that all of the ice methods that I had scoused around that location would also be guarded by an archpixie. Was it an archpixie? That's what that other elf said, right? She said call it an archpixie.
She said archpixie, yeah.
We'll go with that then. Excellent. Honestly, I don't know. She was a very beautiful pixie, and she kind of froze me in ice for a long time. Really, I'm so glad that I had my resistances up. Would have been very bad otherwise. Anyway, basically, long story short, though, I got caught hunting. I suppose. Does it count as poaching for methods?
I think it was poaching.
So I was poaching her ice method guardians by accident, not knowing that she was even there and that the ice methods belonged to someone.
I see.
Look, it takes a lot of reagents to build magic items. It's kind of an occupational hazard.
Oh, I believe you.
Admittedly, I've never met an archpixie before, so I guess I can cross that one off my list.
Well, as you say, we certainly have things that needs to go boom. I am sure Lord Raiden will be absolutely ecstatic to have your insight into his smoke bomb workshop experiment, that whatever he's doing.
I think Loretta will get more grey hairs than ever. Well, after maybe Lady Eliza's thing.
Yes. Persephone, actually, Ceres looks to the king. Unless you have something more to ask of Persephone, there is a third and final one.
Oh, good. Amenas like sinks deeper into his chair.
I would welcome both of you to a demonstration later. While I don't have most of my gear on me, and it will take some time to rebuild my arsenal, I do have something I can give as a bit of a demonstration when you're so inclined.
Hmm.
In the meantime, however, I did hear that one of you was slightly the sneaky type. I'm going to presume it's the one not clad in metal armor.
You would be correct, yes.
And she's going to like fast step over here and just gently place a bottle on the table.
A bottle of what, sorry?
It is a bottle with just a very cloudy kind of mist in it.
He'll take it and raise his eyebrow.
In case of emergency, this should knock out a couple of guards for you.
Oh.
Try not to breathe it in.
He'll wink and say, quite useful. Thank you.
Anyway, on that manner, see you later, Ceres. She kind of winks a little bit and taps Ceres on the back as she goes.
Go see the one that was grumpy about the mana crystals.
She completely left the door there, but completely forgot to close them.
That's fine.
You hear the guards outside gently like tap it with their foot to close it.
Ceres then turns back to Amos and Vicus and then like rubs face it up and it says, so the third one, he's in the infirmary at the moment. He did not do so well in the ice as the others. Honestly, I don't really know how he survived.
Luck. Pure out of luck.
Yes. He's a curiosity. He is a halfling that has green scales along his skin. In
Green scales.
patches. It is a curiosity to say the least.
Some sort of mutant?
I do not know. We brought him here. This is as quick as we were able to return. But before he got to the point where he was catatonic, I had managed to ascertain that he was part of the party that had led the Inquisition to Half Moon Temple. And as the Ifmephits attacked, he was frozen, where his companions had escaped and later had died in an avalanche. Except for one who was taken by, I think, gnolls or goblins. I don't remember what the pixie said. But either way,
and the final one was frozen in ice. So you know.
they were dead, needless to say. He was the only one who lived, but he does know the rough location of the Wizard's Tower, the one that the Blood Witch is searching for.
Well, living already, I think.
Or knows lives whatever. Apparently he has been there before. So I had used everything I had other than my years to free everyone else. Zed had already paid a price far too high, but Lady Eliza had decided to step up. She wanted to make a deal with the Fae that had been forgotten about the people of the land. And her decision and the ultimate agreement that her and the Fae made was that she released the halfling, who she wasn't particularly bonded over keeping. And in return, before winter's end, we shall build her a small shrine in a populous part of a populous town.
I see.
Considering she used to be the Fae of that would be celebrated for good harvests, would be given bountiful food, it's not a terrible thing to reinvite them back, reinvite the Fae into our people again. He was here once and bitter about not being revered anymore.
He nods. I see. And what do we know of this Archfey? however. I mean, she was expelled, abandoned, hunted out. Like,
Forgotten.
are
These
we?
So, the temple itself is a rite of passage. So, Skald shamans go there to complete their training and become shamans. As the Skald and their traditions, their religion has been hunted by the Inquisition, by the Church, by the Empire, slowly been destroyed, she's been forgotten. The whole temple has not seen anyone in, I think she said 25 years.
Something like that.
Well, no shaman, at least. Hostile forces, sure, but no friendly faces. She was simply forgotten, discarded because the culture was hunted out by the Empire.
I see. I will take your word for this. I am worried that we do not abet and install a creature that is actually malignant.
No,
Ice Fae. It does not fill me with the most confidence that they want our people good, especially if it took you if it took you to barter away your life to release some prisoners. It doesn't seem to me that the Ice Fae is very benevolent.
I mean, it was my offer straight away to speed things up. So yes, some of the Ice Fae can be meticulous, I guess. So I would say she seems good enough.
All right.
I guess we'll wave his hand and say, regardless of the requirements we are now beset upon ourselves, we'll worry about that when we have a populous place to put it in. I'm far more interested in the information of the tower, and so would hope that this halfling recovers soon.
Same. Because I do want to kill the Blood Witch.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would be
I would-
better than you making a deal with the Blood Witch. Because that would be a foolish decision.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, you seek to lecture him.
Yes! I gotta take this little bit higher ground in this matter. Small hill that I will die on.
Fair enough. I will say, Amnos will say that he has no intention of making a deal with the Blood Witch. And then thinks to himself, unless the deal is very, very good.
Stop thinking so loud.
Oh my god, I thought out loud. I better say something innocuous to throw off the scent. How nice of you, Vikas. I always appreciate your advice. Good, he's fooled.
I guess looks longingly at the vial with the cloudy liquid.
Perhaps sweet death, finally.
Oh.
Well,
you two have certainly come back from a colorful adventure. I am merely glad that you two are, well, mostly intact, age notwithstanding.
Minor thing.
For some, yes.
Yes. I agree. For me it is minor thing.
But in the process of all of this, we have, in effect, gained some notoriety for the Skald shaman community.
Yes.
Oh, the poor lad.
Notoriety, not.
Well, fame. We have, in effect, cleared one of their temples, one of their sacred grounds of the Inquisition's presence. We have conversed, dealt, and had pleasant dealings with one of the guardians of one of their most sacred lands. And in short, we blew the poor lad's mind in doing so. His report back to his master, Moonspeaker, should be, or mistress, I should say, should be enough to sway them to aid us a bit more, I think. Or at least get the shaman to push for more aid.
Great. I was admittedly a bit afraid that you had literally blew his head off, but happy to say that that is not the case then.
Nah, don't be
Right?
cruel.
Yeah, right, guys? Like,
right?
Psych,
No.
right?
But you know, they might think that like, me being crazy a little bit because I made the 100-year deal. But you know, smart.
I mean,
I
yeah.
mean, you are crazy. I mean, you are
you're-
mysterious in your ways.
I am only following what I think is right or interesting.
Yes.
Oh,
But
there you go.
we mended the shrine that the Inquisition were brutishly breaking. We
No.
Yeah.
removed all of the dead that weren't frozen and killed what knights there were left. The pixie thanked us for it. The shaman, or shaman to be, was astounded that we had even managed to converse with the guardian. Had spent most of his time bowing to the creature before we started moving around, and said quite distinctly that he would be telling his mistress quite a tale when he got back, which
Alright.
should lead us to a good position for us to go speak with them.
Well, it's quite clear from your report, well, and otherwise from those characters you brought with you, that you have done above and beyond on this excursion.
Character is right. Good.
I'd say
But
that
you
quite
will agree
freely.
that the gnome was the most outstanding.
Well, the gnome gave me something, so I
Which
do
is
value the
what
material
exactly?
over.
I can look that over later.
Well, you know, whatever it is, it'll knock you out. I'm sure for a few
Oh.
40 winks.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That's what I was told, but I'm sure Cyrus can take a look later.
Yeah. But with that said, we did plan on going to speak with the Skaldi as a group. I only knew of this through talking to Sir Gillian and asking how we can ingratiate ourselves with the Skull community, and came to this little expedition that we went upon. So, going to speak with them with what we had in mind before, with some more, with some better relation with them, I think is a good point to move on from.
Hmm.
I certainly wouldn't mind some more Skaldi help on the battlefield.
I wholeheartedly.
Or even to deal with whatever the capital has in store for us.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Amanas looks at the map thoughtfully and nods and says, "Well, I will say that you have certainly done well in your dealings with the Skald. It seems you have brought many interesting people to our cause, and I think that is a good thing you have done. I am worried about the price for doing this, but all in all, I am quite impressed."
Thank you.
Also says, well, since you seemingly are directly from the road here, maybe you need the rest of the day to thaw yourselves, wash up and whatnot. Or was there anything else? Not a fourth guest, surely?
No fourth guest. No.
At this, I don't know one.
No, nothing.
Oh, good. Well, then I would suggest that you two, what you want to do for the rest of the day.
Yeah, guess we'll do that. Out of character then. Where, if I'm honest, I don't even remember what we were going to talk to the Scold for as a group.
Wasn't it to just get more of them with us?
Support, magical support,
Yeah, support.
knowledge.
Yep.
I will go ahead and reveal in the bottom left.
Look at those
boy.
stars.
Yeah.
Look at them. Look at them.
On to Mikara, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, they're like a common combination of knowledge and warfare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Way around. It's a method to this, so yeah.
Cool. All right. Nice work.
All right. All right. So we have a 2-star knowledge. That's good.
Someone's slightly better at just general academia.
Yeah. And we
And then
have
3-star arcana.
yeah, and we have a 3-star magic.
Yeah, 3-star
Yeah,
magic.
that's it.
All right.
That's
It's
Arcana.
it's nothing to be it's nothing to scoff at.
no, definitely not.
Officially maxes out at maximum of 5 stars for anything. So
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's pretty good.
and officially a single character can have up to 6 stars in total.
Oh.
Basically, you can have the character can have as many stars as their proficiency modifier. Max, usually.
Right. Right.
Okay. Cool.
There's an exception to that, but usually that's the case.
Well, they shall be useful, no doubt. Find some good council roles and whatnot for them.
Oh yeah, I've got plenty for them to do, to be honest.
Oh, I bet you do.
Yeah.
So, as Ceres and Zed, I suppose, go to rest. After all, they're still covered in snow and ice from trekking.
Swear
That
to
leads,
God.
that leads Vickers and Amulet to just ponder over what just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Amonis, should we get the clerics to check them out?
He nods. Yes. Yes. I assume it is the travel and the hecticness of it, but they do both seem rather unhinged.
Well, they're simply on a high. But yes, just in case.
Yeah. Nods slowly. Looks down at the map again. And he says, Marcus, I want your opinion on something.
Hit me.
He snorts. Am I doing the right thing here? I have been pondering this question for a little while now. I mean the reclamation of the throne. My sister has been crowned and ordained, and by all accounts, she is quite a character. Crusader, fighter, conqueror, and generally well liked, I believe. Although I'm not up to the latest of court gossip, obviously. Maybe she has changed over the past few years. But she was so holy and ardent in her service that my father skipped her over, saying that her service to the church took precedence over ruling the kingdom. And so is actually deposing her and taking back the throne the right way to go about this? Are we doing the right thing? Should we just leave this alone, disappear somewhere, and let her rule?
I guess pauses for a moment and looks down at the map in front of them and says, whoever is sitting on that throne now, you were thrown off it before. There were players beyond the scenes that wanted you gone. Regardless of whether it was your sister or not, whether she knows, whatever the situation is, what happened to you was unjust. For me, your sister is something that we cannot make a decision on yet. She herself could be controlled, or, well, quite frankly, brainwashed. The Inquisition certainly has its ways of inciting fervor of the wrong kind. So no, I think what we are doing is right. We are not deposing, we are wresting back the rightful throne. We are taking back the balance that was thrown away from us.
Nods slowly. Yes, you might be right. Maybe this is a heavenly plan. I was never pious in the way that my sister was. But so I did not really pray to the gods or barely even the patron saint, the angelic deva that overlooks, well, the kingdom and the royal line, supposedly. But it is true, someone did try to murder me and all of us. That needs to be answered for. And perhaps this is the way of heaven. I was unworthy of the throne, and so I must prove myself to actually claim it for real. Maybe it is something that cannot just simply be handed. It must go to someone worthy. As you might recall, there is lots of rituals and mysticism surrounding the coronation, when the throne supposedly chooses and accepts the new king. Perhaps it didn't, but instead of throwing me off or scorching me with fire, maybe I was sent on this pilgrimage to prove myself and better myself, become something else. He looks at the map, nods himself. Yes, that is what I must believe.
I guess is quiet and says, I'll be quite honest, my king. While I understand that it exists, my beliefs are quite rational at best. What I do know is you will know at the end of this journey if this was the right path for you.
He says, yes, that is always the crux of it, is it not? Life can only be understood in hindsight. It can only be stood when you look back, but then it is too late, is it not?
It is too late for what you've done, but it's not too late for what you will do. That's what's kept me going all these years.
Smiles slightly and says, well, I am glad that we are in agreement then. We are doing something right.
That said, my king, if you ever do stray, then I will be the first to tell you.
He nods.
Would not see your father's will be, well, stepped upon.
I appreciate that. We shall do our best to make him proud. And I will be worthy of that throne. I will sit on it. Justly, and as it should be. He looks just 1,000 miles there for a second. I do hope my sister does not make this too difficult for herself and for me. It would be a shame if we came to blows.
We'll take it as it comes. If it has to be, it has to be, but there are always ways. With that cryptic thing for you to think about, my king, I would best be looking for Theo. Make sure he hasn't gone off to too much trouble. I'll start to head out, leave the king to his thoughts.
Yeah. Amnas will sit and ruminate in the council room for a few hours, probably.
Also, as for players, if you look below the cross of the status area on the right,
Oh wow. Certainly radiant.
golden blade, golden eyed, golden head queen.
The Lightbringer, yeah. Rub it in, why don't you? Oh, she's so special and awesome.
She was always everyone's favorite at court, wasn't she?
Yeah, god damn it.
You know, she's always a straight A student that all of her tutors seem to praise.
Well,
Amber's meanwhile barely showing up to his history class.
oh yeah, no, whatever. Those parties to attend and hangovers to sleep off. It's it's one good thing that Amnas is actually not lawful good, or not of the good alignment necessarily. Because I have thought of it. It might be he could have just decided to be like, no, it's best if I just go away. Don't do this because everyone loves her and she's awesome. So maybe just let her rule.
I mean, someone still tried to assassinate you.
Yeah, it is. He has some opinions on that for sure. For sure. All right, I'm gonna visit the bathroom. I'll be back in a sec.
Okay.
So Vickers wants to do something?
Not anything in particular.
Okay.
Probably just check on Theo, make sure he's doing what he's supposed to be doing and training and stuff.
He's not getting up to any trouble around the keep, if that's what you mean.
That's good.
At least if he is getting up to trouble, you don't know about it.
That's either he's gotten good or that's also bad.
I mean, he was already one of the stealthier people in the building.
It's true. It's true. I'd like to think Vickers looks for him by just trying to be stealthy and seeing at what point Theo notices him trying to track him.
It's counter stealth, looking for the hiding spots he would use.
Yeah. It's good practice.
It takes a fairly decent perception to find Theo if he's trying to actually hide himself.
Mm-hmm. I suppose actually once Sarah's is settled and stuff, to actually maybe identify what exactly I was given by Persephone.
I mean, yeah, I can look at whatever Persephone gave you.
Okay.
So you go ahead and you take the strange bottle.
Yes.
It appears to be a strange bottle filled with some kind of alchemical creation. What do you do to it?
No, just making sure to confirm it does what it does. Basically, what actually does it do?
And Sarah's is pretty out of touch with her alchemical and crafting side. It's been a long time.
Oh, you know? You never know.
Firstly, what tool proficiency do you currently have?
Let's have a look.
Me? Or
None.
I see.
You can roll me a blank intelligence.
Blank
Maybe I should
intelligence?
just go to her after.
Yeah, probably. No, 18's not bad.
Hey, it's pretty good.
Blank intelligence.
If anyone has proficiency in the poisoner's kit, you may use that.
No.
I don't.
Alternatively, some kind of alchemical kit. So
I have herbalist. I don't know if it counts.
no. Well, as far as Ceres can tell, the viscous liquid looks like some kind of alchemical concentrate, and judging by the smell, you think it's probably poisonous.
Oh. Okay.
So the bottle also appears to be under high pressure, so you're guessing it will instantly just kind of vaporize into it, filling the entire room.
Right. Okay.
More accurately, you think it will fill about 15 by 15 cube.
You throw it, boom, it poison. Good job.
And at least what Stephanie said is it will not keep people out.
Yes. So, given all of that, you can reasonably figure out that it's a good thing for him to use. So
Supposedly some kind of sleeping gas. I guess.
yeah.
Exactly
Alright.
what she basically said, yeah.
Well,
Cool.
good to confirm. You never know. It might be, oh yeah, knocks people out to like, the realm of death because it blows them
Yeah.
up or something. So, always nice to check.
It knocks them out
Potion.
the window.
Yes.
I mean, this is not the worst thing to check with Persephone the Fantabulabulus.
It's a potion of horrid wilting. Like, oh,
Oh,
good.
It's
And
a
of
potion
course-
of banish.
I also have to remind people, Persephone's title is on her card.
Yes, I see that.
Ah,
But yes,
Persephone.
now that Vicus knows to trust her, he'll probably come to her specifically alchemically wise. But he was, his tried and trusted friend Ceres to make sure that all is well. So
God. Onto Mikara is the most edgelord elf.
She is very edgelord, yes.
Look at that.
I don't know, you're pretty edgy yourself, Mr. Sad Boy turn
Oh,
skeleton.
He can't be edge boy elf because he's not an elf.
Mr.
True.
Sad Boy. Oh,
That's my title now, Mr. Sad Boy.
Mr. Sad Boy. The Lightbringer and the Sad Boy.
The most epic of anime clashes.
Amina Seal, the Sad Boy. Versus Radiant Queen, the Lightbringer. Yeah.
I know who I'm putting my money on.
Damn.
Well, at this rate, Sad Boy's going to bring a Glock to a knife fight. We bring Persephone along for the ride.
Yeah.
I see you have a radiant sword over there. I brought a cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They say in
It shoots radiant swords.
it's, what they say in Warhammer, right? Elves live for 1,000 years, but they would kill for a cannon. As you, I am a prince on a dragon, and then just the Empire shoots you with a cannon. And you're like,
Steam
yeah,
it
well,
out.
whatever.
we don't live as long, so we have to make up better ways to kill people quicker. So
Yeah.
I have a literal. If I can have a steam tank, that I would be very into that.
Move over, Redemption. Come
Mhm.
here, Steam Tank.
I mean, some of the others did last time joke about Persephone making an airship.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
Need an
cool.
airship. Yeah.
Like, admittedly, that is extremely outside your budget.
it's fine. Who
Jeez.
needs the weave? Just dead zone everywhere. It's
But the
fine.
thing is, in theory, if you gave her dedicated facilities for doing so, with enough time and enough resources, she could build you an airship.
Ah, well, we're keeping her on staff, I guess.
But
Maybe not.
Yeah.
that required enough time, enough resources, and probably leveling her up a little bit more. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw her token. I saw those goggles. I went, we need that.
yes, the
Fucking-
one way of judging a character.
Tell me I'm
That's
wrong.
the fantasy trope of someone is an engineer, put goggles on them.
Pretty much.
True.
I mean, in fairness, in real life, we do the same thing. It's called a welding mask.
Fun if you just a welding mask on her, like in the portrait, just put
Yeah.
down, puts it up.
I mean, she just uses the goggles instead of the welding mask, but they basically function as a welding mask. It's fine.
rather have a welding mask than goggles if I'm gonna weld. I think.
And then, of course, she has interchangeable lenses on them, so you can change it to being like close range, welding,
Oh, of course.
Of course.
Obviously.
close range and welding,
If very close range welding. No.
microscopic welding.
Microscopic welding, jeez. Nanotechnology. You're like, what?
Sure.
Yeah. No.
I'll be honest, you would probably need to get her like all 5 stars in scholarship before that might be.
Yeah.
You know, we can send her on a state-sponsored scholarship to like the Volsenbrack Academy or something.
Oh
where
my
they
God.
have pretty weird science.
Send them to another plane with
Yeah.
a different planet.
I mean, the Volsenbrack Corporation would be ecstatic to have her. I'm pretty sure.
Probably.
They took in the weirdest stuff, man.
Yeah, but they might not give her back.
I mean, you know, I
was
think if
looking
if it comes with a letter and like, please send back, I think they would.
Yeah.
I don't know. But they must send them like something also good.
Man.
That's good.
Do we want to go to the Scold once Valky's back?
Yes, I suppose we should talk to Mistress Moonlight or whatever she's called.
Moon Speaker, man. She speaks to the moon.
Mrs.
Rather the Moon
Speaker.
Speaker.
Moo the Moon Speaker?
No, rather the Moon Speaker.
Oh, right.
She's
Maeve,
up on the
or whatever your name
left
is.
of the map, my dude. Left of the
Right,
map.
okay, yeah.
She's
Alright.
the
Maeve the...
ancient one.
Yes, ancient Maeve the Moon Speaker.
Also, she is horrifically powerful. Don't piss her off.
Right, fine.
I like, dude, I felt like I looked through my goggles, saw her power level, and
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
said massacre. And then-
ooh,
The downside, she's kind of reached that point where she's horrifically powerful, but you could just like run out of her spell range.
yeah, she's fast, but she's not fast, but like I think it would be a case of whoever can get away from her like sphere of influence like first will live, the rest of us will die.
So the way to take her down are longbows, so you're saying?
Extra longbows. I don't know.
I mean, as it turns out, you know, when she's an old woman with a cane having to get around, you know.
Yeah.
God damn, more old women we have to talk to. What
But
the
let me tell you about Karu, our dude that helped us out. He has a blade that does necrotic damage.
fuck? Oh,
Yeah.
His spell focus is a dagger, a magical dagger.
And he phased us through the mountains to get to the place quicker.
oh.
Phase through the mountains, spirit walking. It's
Spirit world, you
How
know,
many drugs did you take up there? You're talking absolute nonsense.
many.
my dude, there was an
How many,
entire
like,
room.
phase through the mountains, man. It's like a magic.
And fucking
man.
this lady Carthy didn't even come with.
I mean, in
And-
fairness, like when there are only three Scully divine casters for the city, and one of them leaves.
And honestly, Karu doesn't really have that strong of a grip on common. So we hit a few bumps in the road, but
In fairness, the Scully haven't had a whole lot of reason to speak to the Imperials.
no.
The Shamans haven't.
I want to learn Scold just to like.
It is an option for you eventually.
Eventually, I think I'm going
So-
to just to ingratiate us into it a bit more.
I'm not sure about the optics of, you know, being an ASMR king and then have like tiefling. You know,
That's
as-
racist.
Well, but they're like devils though,
But they're
and
like
demons.
nice, my dude.
Mm,
These two are actually genuinely nice people.
Yeah, they're pretty nice.
They're really nice. I like them. I want to apprentice them.
you have been
Of course you want
seduced.
that, bro.
You have been seduced by the devil, and we must send you for purification now.
You've been seduced by devil and by fae.
Yes, exactly.
Hey,
Leave for one session, it's absolute bedlam.
But if the group wish to go to speak to her, that's fine. The group can all get on their horseback and travel back to Vanderheim to go speak to the Scully then.
Yeah, let's go and talk to
Sounds
Mama
good.
Moonspeaker.
Yeah.
And as it stands, that will also give the medics time to treat up the halfling who's in your infirmary.
Yeah.
Given-
Right.
Given he's kind of suffering from like 4 or 5 levels of exhaustion.
Oh,
Yeah, man, he was dying in the icicle, and like he told us all this cool information. I was like, I already made the deal. I can't change it. Tough luck. You're gonna die now, bro. And then I walked
Same.
away, and we were like, we made our peace. And then Eliza was like, I gotta make a deal, I guess. Like, we gotta
Well-
save this little halfling because me and Zed were like totally like
We were completely
agreed.
we were completely heartless, and it hurt Eliza's.
We were just like, he's gonna die. That's what's gonna happen.
I mean, he was like 1 minute away from dead.
Yeah, like he
What,
passed out.
what-
He was about to die.
what does the halfling bring to the table? Do you know his skill set?
He's a
He
scout.
no, he's
He knows where the tower is.
he knows where the tower is. He's been there.
Right, you're right. He knew
Yeah,
the tower.
He knows
Right,
the
right.
tower.
You don't have a clue what his skill set is. That you have to find out.
But he's got like dragon scales on him. I don't know what's that about.
Yes, that is bizarre.
He's a bizarre person, but all like the main thing he brings to the table is that he can get us to the mage tower.
Hmm.
That's such a huge thing, and I was kind of bummed when I found out that I had chosen Persephone in the deal.
No, don't be.
But
Fu-
I'm not
future
anymore. It's
airship.
great.
Future airship.
Future airship. I mean,
Yes. Think of the airship.
it turned out all right in the end. But so we do have a scout eventually once he's cured his 5 exhaustions.
Of course, if he doesn't run to the Inquisition right away. You know.
Oh
Head-
no, he's like under lock and key. We freed the
Head-
whole shit.
Heads up, viewers. It might be a while before they get that airship.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while.
Go check the video in about a year time, see if they've got it yet.
But yeah, all I care about is he can get us to the tower without us having to hunt down where to go. And the fact that he has gone there means that he should know of a way of surviving the cold at least for a while.
Yeah, I assume he's some sort of, as you said, ranger or scout or something that.
They did have a ranger, I think, with them. But they were I think the ranger was the one that was taken by the gnolls and like ritual sacrifice to their gnoll god.
Right.
So they're not going to be
Well,
helpful.
These 3 characters certainly seem interesting. It's good also because they are bound and loyal to us, or you specifically. They don't have like, Lady Eliza, right? She has to rule Freyfrost.
Yeah. No,
These guys don't have that.
The priests have obligations to the church, obviously.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, Mikara is sort of bound to us. She could leave, but I don't think she will for a while. And Elven Wilds are a long ass time. Persephone, I think, will stick around as long as she's entertained, and I plan to entertain the fuck out of her. So
All right.
we'll
Well,
keep this
alright.
going. Let's give her cannons, y'all. I mean, who do you not want to be like? Oh no, the enemy army is coming. We're gonna fortify our defenses, and then I come around the corner. It's like I have cannons.
Not just 1, not just 2, but 10 cannons.
10 cannons.
I mean, we're building Karl Francis Empire. It is faith, steel, and gunpowder.
Yeah, exactly.
Admittedly,
By Sigmar, yes.
that said, gunpowder is extremely expensive, so
Also, if we continue that analogy, Vikings would be killed by a commissar.
No.
Just saying.
Vikas, you're like the Empire captain who does that awesome hiss. A dagger in the stomach will do it. As he
Alright.
runs like to assassinate the Chaos Lord.
Mm.
He's
My favorite thing in that game.
Oh, what's the assassins called? Fuck. What were they called?
Hunters?
No, the Officio Assassinorum.
Oh, yes, Officio Assassinorum, but that's the Imperium.
Yeah.
anyway, before we get too off track, let us continue.
They don't exist in Karl Francis Empire.
I suppose it's...
The group travels to Vanderheim to go ahead and try to meet with the Skaldi. Of course,
Okay.
for those of you who haven't visited the Skaldi before, so mostly Vicus and Amanus, you definitely feel like fish out of waters for a bit as you travel through part of the Vanderheim you hadn't really ever been to before. Where you can definitely feel the wealth gap and the cultural gap as you see many much older buildings and just a lot more, like, you don't see any of the extravagance of what the imperial districts had. And equally, you get the entire sense that as you're walking through, there are people just staring. There are people watching out of windows as you pass, of like, who are these strangers in our place?
Mm-hmm.
But no one's coming out to threaten you or anything. It's just people keeping an eye on you because obviously you're outsiders.
Yeah.
At the far end of the Scaldi district, you see this massive longhouse stand, proud, near the city wall. The outside of it surrounded by a rather glorious-looking garden, despite it being spring. The garden's all in absolute full bloom with a variety of herbs, flowers, and similar things. You can even see some like local Scaldi there who are seemingly like picking some root vegetables, probably for dinner. Making your way up to the steps and into the great longhouse, you are presented by a number of things that are unfamiliar. Various strange charms made out of feathers, bones, wood, thread, hanging and decorating different parts of the room. Potted plants that weave their way around the logs of the structure of the building. In front of you being a small, it almost looks like a small like reception desk, you'd almost say, but no, it's almost like reception desk combined with shrine, with like a glowing pool of water, like a glowing bowl of water just sitting on top of it. Also on the back wall, staring rather intimidatingly, is the skull of a troll that has long been mounted there on the wall as a trophy.
Okay.
Immediately upon you enter, there is someone standing behind the bowl of water. As you see, the relatively young-looking aspirant Carthy, a rather peaceful-looking tiefling dressed in kind of traditional leathers, flowers through her hair, and a variety of small charms and bracelets. On her back, this gnarled wooden staff that ends in this kind of crystalline orb. As you enter, she seems to make a few hand motions that you think are like kind of their almost like their equivalent of doing like a bow motion, like a bowing or a greeting at least. As she was speaking common, though it does take her a second. Some of her words being slightly off, but clearly, yeah, her unfamiliarity of dealing with, Imperials. Ceres, Zed, I take it these are your friends?
Yeah, Ceres nods, says, may I introduce you to Lord Vicus and His Majesty the King, Amanas.
He spends a bit just staring at Amanas up and down. The tiefling inspecting the fallen Azamar before her.
Jonas, your mic is off.
Amnos will give a polite bow.
She nods a little bit. It is a pleasure and honor to meet you.
Yes, likewise, Moon Speaker. I am very happy and thrilled that you have decided to see us.
I'm afraid I am not the Moon Speaker. I am simply one of her spirits.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was the old lady.
Oh, it's a tiefling in front of you at the moment.
Oh, the tiefling. Right. Sorry.
Greeting as you entered.
Yep.
But she smiles nonetheless. The Moon Speaker has wanted to speak with all of you, especially after my brother's return.
I assume all it wasn't good.
I will alert her that you are here. Please, take seats, and I will invite you to the communion chamber in a minute.
All
Right.
We'll hang around.
Fair. Now, all of your senses as you kind of entered, you did feel like you were crossing a threshold entering into this longhouse. There is something, you can sense it. There are lots of wards surrounding this place, a lot of unusual magic that wraps around this place.
Interesting.
Almost like a divine protection that shelters the longhouse. Though it doesn't feel like any gods any of you know.
Ancient mischief.
You know, have you know, be careful if you try blowing the place up. The wards may not like you.
No plans for that quite yet.
It's fine. Amulet is more to blow people up instead of blow the building up. So
He's more like solve things with a
Despite the
sword.
people at the buildings.
Yes. No, he likes building.
you know, there's long haul could always make a good tavern for him later.
I can only hope.
But it is after a couple of minutes that you are all invited into the ceremonial chamber at the back of the longhouse. In the back there, in this large circular room, the sky partially open, like the roof of the air is partially open so you can see up into the heavens. The center of this room having this kind of great circle, kind of made out of like these finely carved stones with some kind of rune kind of scribed into the earth. And the rest of the room paved around it. Sitting, kind of kneeled on the floor, cross-legged, is both the aspirant Yokathi as well as Karu, who, for the description for the rest of you who haven't seen him before, being Kathi's brother, you know, he is also a tiefling. You know, as you'd imagine, goat horns and such. Though he's dressed far more in like almost like an imperial garb. Like he's gone to local general shop, like just grabbed like a nice looking coat.
I see.
Added a little bit of like metal plating for like armor onto it, and like that's good enough. Though you do see sitting in front of him his ceremonial weapon, this ruined black dagger. It looks like it's made out of obsidian. Where of course your Kathy, meanwhile, of course, has her stave laid across the ground in front of her. Sitting between them, down upon a very kind of like nice mat on the ground, is the shaman, a very, very old-looking woman, dressed as humbly as you can really get, in just basically a simple tunic, a couple of strange beaded charms and bracelets, a laurel crown of leaves, and that is about it. Sitting before her is this beautiful crystal orb on the ground. It's kind of this pearly white but slightly translucent crystal. That, to all of your minds, that thing must be worth a fortune. You have no idea what it is, but it looks like it's worth a fortune just how pretty it is. And as you enter into the room, she seems to make a motion as like a mat rolled out on the opposite side of the chamber, across from the moon speaker and her apprentices, gesturing in case any of you wish to sit.
Right. I mean, we'll sit and be polite.
You can smell in the room some herbs and incense burning. It smells very nice in here. As after you seem to have taken position, the old woman takes in a deep breath. Children of the Imperium, it's good to meet you. Apologies, I do not stand, but you understand. The years have not been kind. She gives this kind of almost grandmotherly smile.
Yes. Well, Amanas will nod and says, certainly, Moon Speaker. We are very thankful that you have decided to meet with us. Do not worry about the formality. This is your court, as it were, and it would be rather presumptuous of me to impose my traditions on you, would it not?
She smiles faintly at those words.
He will try to sit down. I don't know if you can sit like cross-legged on the floor on a plate mail, but you know,
You can.
Or groin.
There are ways you can do it.
There's actually surprisingly little you can not do
Yeah.
in armor.
Chainmail is surprisingly flexible, actually.
Yeah.
Takes a little bit more effort to get up afterwards, but
This video is not sponsored, guys.
Come down to your local blacksmith today and order yourself a full plate armor.
but yeah, good quality full plate, surprisingly maneuverable.
Only 500 gold pieces now.
What do I need to do to get you into a full plate today?
Increase their strength score.
By a lot.
Gym membership free with every full plate.
There we go.
Alright.
Use the promo code Amanas or Sad Boy.
Anyway.
Indeed. Well, we'll sit down. He will look at her and he will say, "Well, out of respect for your valuable time, Moonspeaker, I will cut to the chase. As you might have known, we have operated in the area for a while now, and we are hoping to solicit your aid in the coming battle against the inquisitorial forces occupying the capital."
That much is expected. I have heard of your fights against their men at Wolves Crossing.
Yes, I understand the history and the cultural bad blood that has been between our people over the ages, but I do hope that our actions here will speak louder than past prejudices. Our goal is very genuine.
You understand that history is not easily forgotten.
Amanas internally does not understand that. He forgets a lot very quickly.
400 years of oppression has left my people bitter. They know that they fought your kind. They know that their fathers and their fathers and their fathers before them fought you. But I agree, this is a time for unity.
Nods. Yes, the inquisitorial presence does you almost as little good as it does me. I'm not overly fond of the Inquisition in the best of times, and I have taken quite umbrage with their activities in the region, as of, well, the murder of the late Duke.
I am thankful for Miss Pine, the mayor, beseeching my request to seal the city.
Nods slightly, says, so you were involved in that decision as well, I see.
I believe she would have mentioned to you a benefactor who paid her extra if she would do so.
Looks up and down the moon speaker. She doesn't strike him as having a lot of money, but maybe she pays in spellcraft.
She already had the emotional state to do it. She simply needed a push.
I think I understand. But yes, our goal here is to drive out the Inquisition. And after that, we intend to leave Lady Eliza on the throne of Freyfrost. She seems a competent ruler, and our goals are grander, as you can imagine. We do not intend to stay up here in the north for too much longer, I think.
You understand, though, that while I can pledge my and mine support for you, the rest of the tribesmen, though my word carries weight, will be hesitant to ally with some imperial king.
Nods and says, I think that is understandable, and I am aware that we have to work with local leaders to solicit aid beyond your domain here in Freyfrost. I do hope, however, that our actions will create a cascading effect of goodwill, if you please. We, as I said, in my perfectly honest opinion, Moonspeaker, I care very little for religion, as difficult as that might be to believe for you. It is, if it is up to me, you and your people can believe whatever you want and practice your religion without any interference from me or the state. These are practices I intend to keep to once I hold the throne. So, if nothing else, you would be supporting leniency and more religious freedom, where before there were more oppressive tactics deployed.
And I appreciate these promises. It is nice to hear such a thing from such nice young people as yourselves. The elves excluded, of course.
I was gonna say.
I mean, Ceres can be anywhere between 30 and 200, right?
She's over 200.
Yeah, see.
Yeah.
Witchcraft.
Elf.
Mm-hmm.
My people will, even with your promised words, demand reparations if they would help returning of some land that was stolen to them or such.
Nods and says, if it was up to me, Moonspeaker, I would be happy to make such a deal with you. I, similar to what you said, cannot promise land returned to you, but I can promise you that I will take your request to the people that can give you back the land. My power is in all reality currently a formality. We have forged strong relationships and alliances here in Freyfrost, and what we say carry weight. I don't believe my allies and vassals would ignore or say no to an outright request or demand. But as I hope you understand, our platform is tenuous, and we need to be careful with what we demand of our new allies. Too many sacrifices, and they might withdraw.
Your willingness to negotiate, though, is a refreshing change.
Nods. I do believe in the ability to come to an understanding, and failing that, I take what I'm owed in force. But so far, the only people so unrepentant or unbending seems to be the Inquisition. Most other people I have met up here are quite reasonable.
I will do what I can here to assist, though I am not in a state to fight for you. If you need...
Amnes looks her up and down, does not believe a goddamn word she's saying. She could turn into like a dinosaur, Tyrannosaurus Rex or something, and just wreck half the city.
If you need knowledge from my people, I will assist where I can. She looks at Ceres and she says that clearly knowing something.
Amnes glances, catching the look, and he will say, I would also offer a that you can send one or perhaps a few representatives of your people to us as ambassadors, and a token of goodwill. They would be welcome to sit in on council meetings and voice their opinions.
I will have to discuss this with my aspirants, though I do feel that either of them would serve you well in your endeavors.
I am sure they will.
Both are making me proud in their studies, and both are soon nearing their true initiation. She smiles. As for when you attempt your reclamation of the throne for Miss Eliza, you can count on both of them to aid in that endeavor, as well as some of my closest followers. She briefly looks to your coffee. I believe right now the tribe could field She takes a moment. I believe 50 bowmen and 20 shield maidens, and she 50. The word she uses here to describe it you don't understand, but but you're reassured it's basically the berserkers.
All right.
So about 50, about 50 berserkers, 50 bowmen, and 20 shield maidens.
What are shield maidens?
I mean, shield maidens.
I mean, yes, but except a lady with a shield and a sword, I assume. But what do we know about them?
They will describe to you their shield maidens. They are individuals who have taken an oath to fight on the behalf of the spirits. That almost kind of sounds somewhat similar to paladin oaths.
All right, so spirit warriors, interesting.
They are generally focused a lot around protecting their allies, their community, that kind of thing, and warding away dangerous magic.
I will say that So currently we are looking at facing up against 210 levies, like trained levies, and 70 militia that are all possible to fall away, and 20 knights. Like standing force in the capital. This brings 120 to the table, on top of the forces we already have and are being trained at the moment. This is a significant boost to our forces. Like we
as
could...
said, on the conditions though that you'll at least negotiate with them to do with with potential reparations for their people.
Yes. Well, we'll see. I'm don't have really like a clear view in my mind of how much reparations we're talking about here. It might be difficult to sell off like half of Freyfrost, for example. But
I doubt it's that much.
Karu will bring up one of the things of debate actually that the people would probably ask for returning, which is the fact that when the Imperials took the land away from the Skaldi, some temples were also taken off them and literally just repurposed into being like cathedrals and temples. One of which in particular is Blackwater Abbey, which you are familiar with.
Oh.
Ooh.
Which used to be a Skaldi temple.
That's a
might be a bit
flashpoint.
spicy. Maybe we can do like a shared, like half, half the temple is Skaldi and the other half is Imperial, and they can share.
You can have fun with those future negotiations.
Exactly. It's like you have like even days, odd weeks. That's how we do it.
As it stands, understandably, the people would like their temples back. There's a few other minor things, but that's kind of one of the main big reparation topics that they bring up.
Yeah, no. We can certainly do our best and like try to see if we can negotiate something.
Obviously, giving away what is now a Radiant church would not make the religious folks happy.
No, that's what I'm thinking. It's a bad sign. It's like, here, Amanas is back, and he started by giving away a holy site, and people are like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's dangerous water.
Unfortunately, this is a natural conflict of dealing with two different religious groups.
But like as long as we get the troops, then we can betray her later. I mean, ignore. I mean,
For the moment, though, she's promising those 120 men of her tribe.
Yep.
She does also note that it's possible that some of the other tribes may send people, but she cannot guarantee that.
Yeah, there's another tribe in the north, I believe, that have hidden themselves away.
The Sharoni are the tribe you're thinking of. So yes, their policy with outsiders has been to ask questions later, as I think your people put it. They have decided they do not want any part of your civilization. I do still speak with their leader from time to time.
Perhaps
through various magical means.
Perhaps you would be able to arrange a meeting between myself and the leader?
It, at this time, may not be practical.
Okay.
But I will still speak to them on your behalf, at least.
Yeah, as for reference, I have on my notes, leave isolated Skald camp in the north next to the mountains the fuck alone.
Very well done.
What Sarah had heard is some Inquisition soldiers showed up, basically like, "Hey, have you seen a witch?" And the very hostile Skald tribe looked at them, And apparently the Inquisitorial barracks got a whole bunch of their soldiers back on the end of their own pikes.
All right, well.
Yeah.
They were not up for having visitors, it turns out.
So I just wrote down.
Especially visitors who bashed down the door.
As you can tell, my notes are in depth.
Oh yeah.
It is a terrifying insight to Halddamir's brain reading through his notes.
I appreciate it.
Yes. Ravana will speak up though further. Moreover, I understand, Kalaniel, that you have beseeched my aspirants for the secrets to make the speaking rocks.
Yes.
She holds up in her hand a engraved blue stone. We use them to communicate afar with the other tribes. You wish to learn to make some of your own.
There's nods. I wish to have quicker communication with a faraway kingdom myself. The one that is quicker than a letter every 2 weeks.
As thanks for helping clear the temple, I have had Karu make one for you.
One or a pair?
A pair.
Okay.
It will be ready in a couple of days.
Sarah saw.
We can also get you the instructions to make one of your own for the future.
Excellent. I appreciate the faith in giving this knowledge to us.
She briefly kind of scans over each of you for a moment. She kind of stares at Vickers for a moment, giving a curious glance at the one thing that everyone curiously looks at Vickers.
Yeah.
The shining horn.
Yeah, when people stare, depending on who it is, he has different reactions. But for her, she'll definitely see the hint of a small smile, but he wouldn't do anything else.
She seems to be smiling as well. It's almost like a familiar feeling to her.
Yes.
She's almost being a bit nostalgic seeing it.
Ah, yes, he understands why.
Moreover, while I cannot aid you in the battle ahead, is there other articles and types of magic or objects of power that you would desire? I do not know if I possess them, but I can try. As thanks for your help.
Well, out of character, it would be nice to have some help to traverse the cold up there. Like we have Lady, yeah.
That's
Eliza.
literally what I was going to ask. Is we can. It's more the surviving the cold that's the problem. Like we have the ability to
traverse it.
It. It's the keeping it alive.
Survival.
So I think I think that's a good first point of call, and like a major point for dealing with the witch is. Ceres will say, the way your people endure the bitter cold in the north, in the mountains.
We have a variety of means to us. Our people are, as you understand, we have become skilled at handling the elements, even naturally. But we do have some tricks we have used in times past. I believe Karu already demonstrated one, if abruptly. We have enchantments, as you would call them. Ancient magics we can weave into objects, usually clothing, that will help provide protection from the cold. Such is usually difficult to do, requiring various elements, but if it is something you need, we may be able to help.
I think it's something we need.
It certainly. And we need to travel into the mountains to find something to prevent a potential calamity.
You speak of the tower. Yes, it makes sense. I can work to produce you enchantments upon some of your equipment. It will give you some protection from the cold, at least for a time.
That is more than we already have. And a boon for our further ambitions.
I can have my apprentices begin to weave you such cloaks or other items of apparel. Most things will do. Well, many articles will do. It is of your choice, as long as it covers a lot of your body. Cloaks, hoods. You may speak with my experience, and they will assist you with such. Though it will take them some time to make them all. Sadly, these will not work these will not work forever. We do not have on hand the reagents to make these crafts eternal. It has been some time since we have delved the caves for the supplies.
Whatever time you can offer us resistance to is valuable.
With my craft, I can get you a few days worth of protection at least. Which I hope will be sufficient.
I think so.
Probably. Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, we'll have to make it work, like, basically.
I mean, is that or we start cave delving for magical reagents to make it permanent?
Gosh.
What would that even,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there's... I think we'll know more once Halfling is awake. If he can...
Yeah.
If he's like, oh yeah, no, we're going to be out there for like a week. Okay, we're going to have to deal with
Yeah,
something
he's been
else.
there, so he knows the time, so we can
Yeah.
gauge off that.
Yeah. She thinks she probably, if she stretches out, could probably get you protection from anything solid of like protection from the cold.
Okay.
But you know, beyond that, she isn't sure if her magic will hold up without renewal.
That's fine.
Sadly, she doesn't have salamander hearts just lying around.
God, salamanders. I don't want to fuck with salamanders. You guys. Oh.
As it turns out, it turns out she hasn't really had people strong enough to go fight those in a long time. So,
Palky, what the fuck is that roll I just saw?
Wait, what? What you mean?
I just saw a 27 stealth check.
Where are you looking?
D&D Beyond, man.
Oh, I'm just looking. Don't mind.
Jesus
is there
Christ.
anything else you wish to ask of the Moon Speaker?
We got army support. We got some help with the cold. Is there anything else?
And sending stones for Ceres as well.
Oh,
Right.
man, that's the foundation of our long-range diplomacy right there. I got a whole idea about the Goblin Creek and trade.
And as I said, you are free to take one of her apprentices with you as an envoy.
Nice.
At least for the immediate time.
Yeah.
When you do full council reformation, you might have to rediscuss them. But
Sure. So do we get to pick one?
you can take one.
What do we need?
Either the more nature focused, Jokathi, or the spirit blade Karu. Either one can assist. They are both capable mages in their own right.
What do you think, guys?
Of course, you can see that they have their own stats as well. Like
Yeah.
purposes. They both have tribal divine and then one other stat.
I think I'm leaning towards Carthy because I think she'll prove the better face for her people.
I think so too.
And like she ingratiates nicely, and then it'll look better, and then it'll show the Scold people better in the light, like to our other religious people especially.
Go for the slightly friendlier of the two.
Yeah, rather than showing up and saying, "Here's our new Scold, soon to be Shaman, necromantic dagger boy." Instead, it's going to be like, I mean, yeah, she is a tiefling, but it's like druid-esque tiefling.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing that makes me think him is because he is seemingly, I don't know, he seems more interested, I guess, in Imperial stuff. He went and bought like an Imperial outfit, and he has like put Imperial armor on it and stuff like that. So I'm like, is he culturally appropriating Imperialness? Like, what's going on here?
I think that's a recent development. I don't know how much of an influence me and Zed had on that trigger. Like, I don't know if we triggered something there.
It's not that recent.
I mean,
like he certainly has an interest in Imperial culture, though he's basically not interacted. So, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
As their skill sets, they both have their uses.
I mean, honestly, you guys have actually interacted with these people, so you have probably a better view of who to pick. So I trust your judgment here, I guess.
Honestly,
Yeah.
the flip of a coin for me.
I would say Carthy. We have enough sneaky people.
Isa, what do you think?
Yeah, I will turn with Akarsi.
Carthy it is?
More for like a face than the necromantic dagger boy.
Yeah.
Need more edgelord in this council chamber, man.
Man, we'll get Karu, I think. But
But for now,
she's a good start, I think.
We can get the edgy people in once we have a place for them all to hang out together.
Yeah, they gotta have the sad boy zone.
Yeah, the sad boy floor.
The Kingdom of Edgelord.
And of course, you technically have these two down here.
Man,
Yes.
our group of
Gosh, we have so many
advisors
people.
It's growing,
Jesus
man.
Christ.
As potential candidates for your future court.
Yeah.
Let's think about that.
Yeah,
Not
like,
all of them will be suitable for your future court,
No.
and not all of them will get along. But
No. My God. So, like, what's our next step here, guys?
kill Inquisition.
I mean, that's always the goal.
it would take at least a couple of days, of course, for the Scully to gather everything together. You asked for.
So, how
Right.
many men do we have in, like, the normal militia?
In your own.
In our own militia, yeah.
Let's see. You took significant damages before, but
Yeah. So, just to give you guys an idea, this is what I asked Sir Gillian about. That is terribly formatted because map tools is shite for formatting. Do that. Okay, so what they have is 70 peasant militia, 140 levies from the Duke. That, as far as I'm aware, even if the Duke is pressured into not contributing anymore, he won't pull them, or probably won't pull them.
Right.
70 Inquisition levies, and 20 knights, as well as all of their fortifications and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they also have
Um,
like the magic zones or whatever.
They have the anti-magic zones stuff.
plus 4 locations.
Plus
Yeah.
extra fortifications, plus the Lord Inquisitor himself, plus the legate that's
Mage.
in charge of the defenses. Yeah, plus a badass non-martial mage that's just seems to be a pencil pusher, but might actually fight. It's up in the air. I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah.
But those numbers are what are, like, based on percentage-ish, is about how many men will be in the capital as a standing defense.
Right.
We do have some. I do have a location to where we could attack.
Oh.
Some patrols.
All right.
But yeah, like, there's a large patrol that goes between the mountain and the mines, and the border of Reichhold.
Right.
That's what you're currently looking at.
Okay.
Is there merit in thinking about basically getting together everyone that has some sort of infiltration background, including myself, and like finding a way to basically backstab a few of the forces? I'm talking about like when we go for the city. Like through the cave in the back, we can't really force a full troop through there, but we can get like a strike team.
I mean, taking out the knights would be really good for that.
Yeah. Yeah, either taking out some key players or opening the way even further, or maybe disabling some of the fortifications or anti-magic places, stuff like that.
Yeah, I would think, like, there'd be an early strike force while the distraction is going on.
Yeah.
That removes the anti-magic, removes the barrier that is the gate, and like getting our troops in, and then we have like the proper fight.
Of course, the revered mother also mentioned she can have it arranged for one of the gates to be left open for you.
Oh, that's
Yes.
true. Yeah.
Right.
As a question, actually, was Magnar successful in any way of bribing any of the guards in?
You don't know.
Alright.
Yeah, he said won't know until the actual day, right?
It's
Well,
true.
not quite, but you haven't really kind of relayed with the entire council to see how preparations are going.
True. Something to keep in mind. All right.
Council's certainly putting effort in though to try and get you openings.
Yeah, so we're looking at, we got 80 militia against their 70. We've got 30 mercenaries, 50 berserkers, against, like, say their inquisitorial levies. We got 20 shield maidens, 20 knights, but then we got 50 Scoldy bow against 140 ducal levies.
Plus 25 Shatter Shield recruits as well.
Yeah.
Plus 25 Shatter Shield recruits. So we're a bit shy on overall.
In overall forces, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so we would actually have to pull quite a bit of weight.
Yeah, but we do have the advantage in that we can strike first.
You also have new elements that didn't exist on the table before, such as having certain councillors now who might be able to provide more weight.
Yes.
True, yeah. I mean, is recruitment really going to go up? No, I don't think so.
I don't know where we would get more troops.
Yeah.
Unless we are somehow able to turn the peasant militia to our side.
The 70 that are there, I think from what I understand, Dark from Sir Gillian is like we've slowly been recruiting them anyway.
Yeah, like a lot of the militia you've gained have all come from Sir Bolton, basically, like getting them to change side.
Yeah,
right.
So they might have, having heard the loss at the bridge, the bridge. Maybe they'll drop their weapons or fight for us when they see our banner. I don't know.
I don't know.
That said, though, if you don't have anything in particular in mind, then we can skip forward a little bit and let the council have some time for some preparations, and as all of you just kind of ready yourselves a little bit.
I think it would be a good idea to have some time as well just to train the militia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could spend some time taking out patrols. I know major patrol routes, and there's on the map with all of our people on it.
Yeah.
There's, from what I understand, a patrol that basically goes between the mines and the border of Reichhold, which I guess is the river, maybe?
Yeah.
So there's like...
on the river, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a patrol between the border and the mines that has a large group. And also on... Where did I put it? I believe there was some, like, groupings around... Yeah, groups on the border of Ferelda. So there's, like, positioned groups that are left on the border that could potentially just be knocked out with, like, Nova strikes by us while everyone else sort of gets ready. But I feel like if we can take out patrols, take out these groups that are just hanging on the border. There's small patrols on the road, but, like, I don't know. These sounded like bigger groups when I was speaking to Sir Gillian. That would at least reduce their numbers out in the field, that they might have to take the ones that they have in garrison and put into the field. You know what I mean? To replenish the numbers they're losing outside.
Of course, keep in mind at the same time, the Inquisition knows you're here now, they're just looking for you.
Yeah. So, I think a combination of guerrilla tactics and preparing for some unspecified town.
I mean, our group is pretty powerful. We can do a lot of sabotaging or, like, assassination strikes or stuff like that. We just need to find targets. I'm totally for spending like a session or two just running, minor skirmishes and missions with our group to soften up the target. It's just I'm not sure what a good opportunity for that would be. Like,
Well, that's why
you're-
I've got the patrol in the north, and there's
yeah,
literal groups of men just hanging around on the border.
Yes. So Gideon has some good targets which the group could spend. The group could strike.
Yeah.
Sounds
I mean,
good.
yeah, maybe that's the approach then. While the army gets ready and trains up, we can run some minor
Guerrilla
missions.
warfare.
Yeah, guerrilla warfare on our own.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was suggesting.
Now, I'll be honest. Your group is pretty strong. There's no denying that.
Mhm.
And you've proven that you can nova yourself quite strong against individual patrols.
Yeah.
Especially ones that might be exhausted after patrolling for a while.
Yeah.
So defeating them isn't so much going to be a challenge, more than it's a time-consuming thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
So
But
yeah.
if that's what your group wants to do as a council, or trying to like get everything prepared, that could be.
My question is, what would give us the most advantage? What would do the most damage to our enemies? Is it taking out these patrols, or do we go to Freyfrost City and start shit there? You know, like, is there targets in the city that are more valuable, but maybe harder to get? Because I don't know how many people we can, if we start ambushing patrols and taking out like moving forces, how much would we be able to trim down the enemy's forces in the amount of time we have? Right?
From what I understand, they need to have troops out in the field to be able to sort of suppress the peasants.
Yeah, and as we've learned, also they don't have enough as it is anyway to cover everything. It's more the illusion of like them being out there for most of them. So
Yeah.
the less out there, the more they have to send to keep the pretense. So it would help anyway, right? So
Yeah, and we've already got elements in the city dealing with or trying to
Alright.
give us advantages, and unfortunately, from what I understand, they have like the person who took over Sir Bolton's like defense, like the city's commander.
Yeah.
He's sort of just been leading the charge in generating extra fortifications
Mhm.
over time, which has also come in the form of those anti-magic wards
yeah,
that are replenished every day, every morning, I believe.
Every single dawn, the priests do a ritual to renew them.
Yeah. Which would severely hamper me and Vickers. And they're placed on key points. So I think our biggest problem in the city is only going to be done by our elements that are already in there. But harrying the patrols is, at least for me, a clear point of call to at least get their numbers down while not threatening our own men, if we can do it ourselves.
it's something we can do that's risk-free for us because we're powerful enough to do it. It just takes time. If we go do other things, they probably have more elements of risk to them.
Especially in the city.
Yeah.
That being said, they do have a powerful mage. Who knows what they're doing? They could be trying to scry us for all I know.
Probably not that powerful, but
Probably not. But they might be able to know if we enter the city.
the problem is some of your faces are less now known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you enter the city, there is a chance that all alarms will go off.
Yeah. So I think the guerrilla warfare on our behalf, like our little party here, and then have our council and our elements already in the city do their best in preparing. I mean, from what it looked like, just getting an extra point in morale or training seem to have done a lot, so just nudging that up would be good as well. Just giving them time to train.
Okay. In that case, well, we'll move forward on this assumption for the moment then, as we'll time skip forward a few days of you. We'll have the council currently starting to harass patrols then. As we'll quickly see if the council's got anything for your attention.
I think that it's pretty cool. So this group goes out every morning, comes back with like a tally of how many they've killed.
Yeah. It's good for morale as well, right?
Yeah.
Send out some battlefield like sweepers to pick up the loot and armor and weapons.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
refurbish them for our own troops.
Riding
suppose,
cries
though,
every morning for the
As your
Christians.
group goes out there, you can pick either strength athletics, wisdom survival, or charisma intimidate versus the patrols.
Oh, I intimidate. I'm good at that.
Survivor is for me.
Yeah, I intimidate. I'm not trained in it, but it's my best.
I suppose Victor's can also use stealth in this case.
Oh, okay, good. Because I was like, none of those options work for me. Yeah, I'll definitely use some.
I mean,
22.
can I argue I'm firing literal like fireballs at people? That's gonna be intimidating, right?
Uh-huh.
Look, your ability to blow them up is not in question here.
25.
I don't know whether or not to use my inspiration on this.
So dark.
I'm gonna use my inspiration on it.
Yes.
Oh, 10, good.
Can I use enchant ability for like old wisdom for advantage?
How long does that last?
An hour for each cast.
You can.
Roll a 6 and a 4.
I can? Oh, I
Yep,
can.
you can.
There we go. So 12. That's a bit bad roll.
So we have 22, 25, 10, and 12.
You know, we did all the hard work last session.
Uh-huh.
As it turns out, the better rested of the people,
Yeah.
and the more martially inclined, kind of tear shreds out of the enemy forces.
Yeah, and also the ones specializing in terror tactics and
Yeah.
brutal, visceral murder of anything that comes
Right,
close.
they're all focused on you, and then suddenly there's like there used to be a dagger in their neck, and now it's gone. and
Yeah.
they're also dead. So
So
We'll show these spellcasters how to do it.
you certainly do. Between Ceres and Zed together, they managed to take out over basically the week of you doing your harassing and giving your council time to prepare. Yeah, they managed to take out a solid 20 patrolmen. It's not bad. It kind of pales though in comparison to what you two have done. Altogether, they've collectively done about 20. Amulet has managed to single-handedly remove about 30 of them.
Gosh.
So combined, more than the two of them.
Yeah.
Vickers also managed to take out about 20 of them by himself.
Alright.
Vickers, you also have something else because you crossed a certain threshold.
Oh, okay.
I ask you as a player, treasure or information?
Oh. God damn it.
Quite the choice.
Um,
What treasure is it?
I want treasure.
In that case, can you roll me a D100?
Sure can.
Roll 100, roll 100, roll 100.
The freaking 100. This will be interesting.
94.
Ooh.
Nice.
I mean, it's not 100, but
Pretty good.
I have no idea what that means.
I think that's one of the good options in wild magic.
94 seems good.
I'm curious what
94.
94 in wild magic would be increase your size by 1 size category for the next minute.
Marcus becomes large.
Doesn't exactly help me stealth.
My power grows.
Oh, it sure does.
Let's see, that's 94. Which makes this a rare item.
Ooh.
Oh,
Do choose wisely.
Let's see.
You roll well.
Another D100 to see which they're able to do this from.
I'm just finding you your item. Give me a moment.
no rush.
Okay then.
Rare items are so rare in campaigns, I don't even know what some of the things could be.
I mean, it could be worse, it could be very rare or legendary.
I mean, like +1 weapons are rare.
Are they?
Some weapons are uncommon.
Yeah, I thought +1s were uncommon, yeah.
Rare is +2.
Amulet
So-
of Health is rare.
So we'll play out a little scene here.
Ooh.
Vicus, you have been you have spent the last couple of hours in ambush position. You know exactly where the patrols are going to go. Between information from Sir Gillian and just kind of watching them out yourself, you're sure they'll pass through this position at some point in the next, in a little while. And then you see them. You see moving past down below a group of priests alongside a couple of the militia. But something catches your eye. One of the priests in particular that isn't one of the normal priests. I mean, just looking at them from a distance, they don't have white robes. They don't have white robes or grey robes. They're a red robe priest. That means they're a decently powerful priest, to your knowledge. Huh. That's interesting. And he's seemingly carrying something, transporting it from the southern road up towards the capital, up towards Freyfrost capital, moving swiftly and quickly. You almost effortlessly, with Abanus striking fear into the front line of the patrol group, strike down from the shadows, psychic blades flying, and despite their attempt to try and retreat, to try and get away, which they definitely get close to, a psychic blade flies from your hand and strikes this priest in the back of the head, him falling to the ground, just blood just dripping from his face. And you examine the lockbox that he brought with the lockbox he was carrying. You have no issue unlocking it. You're more than skilled enough at that. And inside you find a strange golden amulet.
Ooh.
That is inscribed with this kind of cold heart symbol and iconographies of the adolescent of the Allmaker.
Interesting.
I will let the group automatically identify this because you've got enough people that, with time over the week, you could easily identify it no matter what you roll.
All right.
Someone will figure it out. Take it, Auntie Makara. She'll auto-identify it if you need to.
Yeah.
You have, in fact, discovered an Amulet of Health.
Yay!
I guessed it.
This rare wondrous item, which requires attunement, after 24 hours, will set your constitution to 19.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus, that's great. What the fuck?
Do you not remember it from Odyssey? What?
Yeah.
No, I can't remember
That,
any
that
magic.
D6, by the way, was to find out an amulet for which ability score.
Oh, wow, that's great.
It's amazing. It's the whole reason, like, my character in Odyssey is alive. Like,
Yeah, as Vicar stands there though with this amulet of the aspect of healing for the church in his hand.
yeah, it sets,
Wow.
sets your con to +4 just automatically.
That is great.
It is amazing.
That was only possible if a player had rolled 25 or greater.
Nice.
Wow, I just made it.
It does have
Yay.
it does have your expertise and stuff.
Yes, it does help a lot.
What's your current con?
14.
Okay.
A bit of a boost.
Be an
No, but-
extra
Plus 2.
10 hit points for you.
I mean, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It would actually make you as healthy as the king.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm too old, so I need magic to.
Yes.
Ah,
It's a good
Boost
match.
that
that's,
vigor.
that's really good. Beefy,
Awesome.
beefy rogue.
Yeah, it's great.
Come back, he's all hulked up. Like, ah.
You did grow a size.
Attuned to that for sure.
I said it takes a day, but that's not really an issue. And as long as you don't put away the amulet, you will have its blessing.
Woohoo.
You are protected by the divinity of the adolescent.
This
Making,
magic
making, you,
stuff is
making,
great.
making you feel young and as tough as an ox.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Thomas, if I didn't waste away like 5 years drinking.
Look, all that cirrhosis, gone. Wait,
Oh, man, that's the worst. It's great.
Also, you've now got a strangely high alcohol tolerance while wearing it.
Oh,
It is kind of funny that Vikas, who is the most haggard looking of everyone, has like an amulet of like the adolescent.
his luscious, his locks now look way more luscious than before.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
I mean, certainly attuned to it. You're gonna like. I imagine Vicar starts looking a little bit younger while he's attuned to it.
Yeah, some of the scars worse than maybe
Man, he's
look a bit
gonna
better.
it's time to. It's gonna be such a lady killer in camp. He's so virile looking.
I still have 10 charisma. Let's just let's nip that in the bud.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that off though. That you've taken the rare treasure option off the list.
That's awesome.
There were some other potential ones in there. Elven chainmail and among a few others.
Fine, we'll come back to that particular vault later.
But as it stands, this happened to be the one that would happen for this moment.
Yes.
Well, in that case, the group then, after a few days of definitely culling the patrols a bit, can make your way back then to your castle. You have heard things from some of the scouts saying that the Inquisition is sniffing dangerously close to the right area. You won't, you only have so long before they figure out where you actually are.
Yeah. It's time to strike. I mean, we've killed. How many did we reduce them? Like
70.
70
collectively,
All
yeah.
right.
Which is, of course, men they're going to have to start finding other ways to replace, some of which will have to come from the garrison. Even if not all of them, some of them will have to come from the garrison.
I mean, that is significant.
So what I was told is about 30% are on patrol at all
Right.
times, except for the knights because they had a different amount.
Oh, yeah, we
So-
basically took out.
Took out a chunk. They had 400 men,
Yeah.
excluding the knights, in total.
Yeah.
So taking out 70 is a chunk.
Oh, that's really
70.
good.
70 over 7 days. It's 10 kills per day. It's not too bad. Meanwhile, your council has been working in the meanwhile.
Yeah.
So indeed, as you requested, Ryden has developed some smoke bombs that should be capable of helping provide some cover and distraction for your team.
Yeah.
But it turns out many people in your council have different bits of news to share with you. Apparently, including Persephone and Auntie Makara, who have been working on something.
Wonderful.
Let's do it.
Persephone has been excited to get to work on warfare again.
Do it to it.
I suppose we'll start with those two then.
Yes.
Why not?
And they don't arrive in the council room. You just end up getting a messenger coming up and kind of looking a bit sheepishly at you.
Oh, it's going to be a demonstration.
It has been requested that if you could come either out to the courtyard or watch from the roof, as the gnome and the white-haired elf are going to be doing some kind of weapon test.
Right.
I
will be out on the courtyard in case anything goes wrong.
I shall go take the roof. Turns to spider.
Actually, I think you should have had advantage on your intimidate check with that spider around.
I was intimidating.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Listen.
Well, I mean, as I've never seen these type of weapons, he will go wherever he can get the best view of what's happening. Not sure if that's the courtyard or.
I mean, the roof gives a pretty good view. You could just kind of watch down from above.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
he will sweep his kingly mantle around him and go to the roof to stand in the cold.
Yeah. As it turns out, Persephone could not get gunpowder on such short notice.
Hmm.
You know what she has done? She has built you a ballista.
But hey,
It's only one ballista, but hey, it's a ballista, which is still pretty good.
I
That's
call it the
pretty good.
grudge thrower.
The thing is, though, it appears Auntie Makara has been working with Persephone to do something with the ballista.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
As you see them seem eager to test something, as you see that they have seemingly just dragged like this huge chunk of ore, just off to the very edge of kind of the just kind of very, very edge of the training ground.
Mm-hmm.
The ballista pointing at it, which normally a ballista versus rock is not the best option, but as you see the weapon test go underway, as it seems Makara seems to wield some kind of very strange looking magic as it begins to get woven that seems to kind of weave around the ballista bolt. As it almost feels like light is being drawn towards the ballista bolt for a moment. Not like it's getting darker, just like the space around it's warping a little bit.
Mm.
And as they fire the ballista bolt, it just shatters straight through the piece of ore, basically like an anti-fortress weapon.
Oh wow, like piercing. Oh, okay.
So she's like,
As it also smashes through several trees in the background.
oh, good.
Wow.
So what we do now, guys, is that we lure the head inquisitor out on the battlements, and then we fucking shoot him with this rail gun.
It's not quite a railgun, but the thing is, if nothing else, this ballista essentially gets advantage on attacking objects now.
That's
Wow.
great. Oh, awesome.
For those of you who are magically inclined, you can try to figure out what she did.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm curious as the heck. I can't roll very well today. That's a 9. right there.
Give me a moment.
Ceres is too busy gloating at the king.
23.
Zed, it was very unnatural what you just witnessed. So you have this already ballista bolt, which of course is like primarily wood and then like a steel head or an iron head, iron in this case. But as it was fired, as you notice the space around it being warped, it was almost as if to you that iron head, it almost appeared to like to you almost like it contracted very slightly. You felt as if somehow it had become somewhat like a lot heavier during its movement, as almost if it if almost it had become as heavy as maybe even adamantine being fired.
Oh.
It hadn't actually transmuted, but like they haven't actually changed the material, but they've clearly manipulated like the weight of the thing somehow in firing it.
They increased its mass upon firing.
So it's traveling the same speed, but now it's heavier.
So
And
basically
it's the same
she-
dimensions.
Basically, she cast gravity bow on it, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's
We're going to
kind
go right thing.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
That's
it gains but basically the ballista as a result. If she even chanced a shot beforehand, gets advantages on its strength check to break objects, which it turns out includes a gate, for example.
Man, that
Best
basically is
ballista
like
in the
a.
lands.
That's literally like a. I want that door open.
Pretty much, she has basically made you the rudest way to open a front door.
I mean, that's great, especially as like most armies like put a unit behind the door, like in preparation for it to be breached.
The downside, of course, is your unit is you don't have anyone who's like ballista trained, so you won't be able to get like multiple shots out of the thing. You don't have a siege crew.
No, but
The point is, you'll at least be able to get one big knock shot on the front door.
I mean, one knock shot that should be able to knock out a like whatever is behind it as well.
It does sound also like a job for Persephone to train a war machine crew. She'll be like the war machine core,
Siege
like,
master.
Yeah, siege master.
That
college.
That might take us some time.
The College of Pyrotechnics will be founded.
No, that would just be.
I mean,
No, that's just a division.
I mean, if Persephone's been given free reign here to basically develop all the pyrotechnics she wants, this is going to go well.
I mean,
It's been 2 days since the last explosion, since the last rebuilding of the college.
You might legitimately need like a sign for like days since last accident.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine
4 hours
though.
since last time.
This is why I'm in charge of R&D. I don't give all of the money to the crazy psycho with cannons.
Hey, I
This
want.
is why I hired them. At least the dark elf.
I
What?
want
No.
mortars. I want cannons. I want steam tanks. I want Hellstorm rocket batteries.
Oh god.
I mean, I want
Next
the
time-
same, but we just don't want it to all be like, you know, in our keep. Testing. Let's do it safely.
We need like an engineer bunker or something, like a gunnery
Yes.
school. Yeah.
I mean, we are going to see about clearing a ancient wizard tower that is impervious to all damage except for radiant.
it's kind of up in the mountains, and you need to either teleport and have like special magical mystical ladies cast things on your cloak to get up there, though.
I mean, we can
Maybe-
figure out how
maybe-
to
I mean-
do that.
I mean,
Hey, I have an idea.
I mean, the manual way would just be setting up like basically like basically setting up like checkpoints along the way where people could travel and rest. But that takes time, way more time.
I mean, Blackwater Abbey is contested. Maybe we can just, we level the temple to the ground, and then we
God.
just put our like smelting plant there instead.
That's what we need. We just go. All right. So the Scold want it. The clergy want
Yeah.
it. No one gets it but us.
The crown claims it. Fuck all of you.
The crown
then
claims
just
it.
and they
then
just run it in the
pillars
ground.
of smoke come
Yeah.
out from the ground.
go full Isengard on
Oh
it.
my god.
So,
Yeah.
as a question, Dark, how
Yeah.
does everyone else react to this demonstration?
Your troops are like what the hell just happened? Raiden is basically sitting right alongside you on the roof watching curiously. He doesn't seem to like react strongly to it, though you do hear like a bit of a long whistle from him. Like he's clearly impressed, especially given how fast she built that ballista.
Yeah.
She only had a couple of days on scrap materials.
The silhouette of Amonas up on the roof will give a kingly nod in satisfaction of the demonstration. Very good.
Braun
Phased by the
Braun
waves
is-
there.
Braun is just laughing so loudly you can hear him from the top of the roof.
He loves destruction.
I love
Like
doors.
like he wants one of these in his military crew.
Hey,
There you
bro.
go.
For the cheap price of your eternal servitude, you could have one too.
Exactly.
You can have 2 of these actually. in the
Uh-huh.
future.
I mean, downside, it needs Makara to make it, go full like anti-fortress.
Hey, you know what, Bron? We can supply you, war machines and engineering expertise to your troop for a cost. We have this leasing contract here we can sign. Mutually beneficial, I believe.
Yeah. Anyway.
Something you also maybe you find like as after the demonstration kind of packing up and Persephone's now like, oh, how do I actually like move this thing? Or shall I wheels to it?
Oh damn it! Always
She
something.
didn't put wheels onto it.
No,
God damn it.
that was beyond her engineering capability.
Wait, how did she get it out in the courtyard in the first place?
She just built
It
it
was
in the
built in
courtyard.
the.
She built it in the place. It's like, wait.
It's fine. She can add wheels. It's fine.
Oh,
She can
oh,
add wheels.
artificers.
She has some like small wheels that barely roll.
That is such an
Oh.
artificer thing. It's like, oh yeah, it works, amazing. Ah, fuck! We're meant to have it like 2 miles away.
Oh damn it!
Damn it! Need to build
works.
wheels.
It's not here.
Look. She was building this on a budget. She completely forgot about the wheels.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's understandable.
Wheels can go over budget. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. One thing you also spot is Makara is well she seemingly has a spellbook back or something. You don't know where she got it from, but she's seemingly carrying around some kind of grimoire with her now.
Well, that's not ominous. I'll have to discuss that.
Like she
with
definitely
her.
didn't have that while she was frozen. Like she said she needed to, recover it because it was lost.
I mean, she could create a new spellbook.
It looks rather fancy. Either way, it looks rather fanciful.
Oh. Alright.
Not my problem anymore.
Oh,
Point is, she has a book now.
I'm adding it to the list.
Though from her comments as you hear her kind of doing work, apparently she doesn't have all of her magic back, so she hasn't recovered all of it.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's rather fast that she's managed to like get a book again and like rescribe it.
I imagine
Yeah.
she's quite the mage.
Regardless. But yeah, so that's what they've been working on. Rakara's been recovering her spells. Persephone built a ballista.
Wonderful.
I mean, magic, right? It's great.
Magic's glorious.
Until it's used against Vickers, then he doesn't like magic.
Um,
You know.
Yeah, what will be even more interesting is when Persephone gets to not using a ballista, but actually has a cannon that's enchanted with that.
Yeah.
But that is future days.
Cannon is like magic as it is. It's like I've never heard of a cannon.
Gravity bowed cannon though.
What is it? What sorcery is this? How can fire undo stone?
Gravity bow, a arcane cannon.
Pretty much.
So I guess her subclass is like artillerist or whatever that.
Persephone's yes.
Yeah.
Whatever the equivalent one was.
I think it is artillerist.
I think it is artillerist, yeah.
Yeah.
Alchemist, artillerist, armor, battlesmith.
She makes things go boom.
Artificers are cool, man.
Oh, they're great.
Yeah. She makes things go boom. Once she has all of her equipment recovered, she'll have pew pew in her hand she can shoot things with.
Oh, great.
If she'll have her sidearm, she'll have her cannon, she will wreak havoc.
Yeah, firearms, man.
Like that adamantine Iron Man suit for me.
Again, might take some time, but you do now have 2 artificers, so it might be possible.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah, true. What is Raiden like? What's his expertise in?
I don't
As an
think
artificer.
got one yet. So you pick it up at 3rd level. So
Right.
you might
It's
not-
undecided what
Yeah.
one is.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. So we could probably nudge him in the right direction.
Armorer.
I mean, he has been working a lot on Amulet's armor, it seems.
So he could
Yeah.
he could become our armorer.
Armor's pretty decent.
Yeah. Actually, his default apparently is armorist. Looking at this,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
I
looking
guess
at
it-
his
it-
default is
yeah.
armorist, and that's pushed otherwise.
Alright.
So his is still technically open.
Yeah, I
think
guess
that's
we'll
fine.
see what the situation requires, but yeah.
Yeah, sadly, his expertise was somewhat split between like normal academia and his artificing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Persephone has just gone gun. What? Yeah. Meanwhile, on the council, other things that have been going on. as you can come down from the roof. I imagine rather happy with that demonstration.
Yeah.
Even if your gnome is scatterbrained. See.
As long as they scatter, she scatters in the enemy's direction, and ours is fine.
You actually have Lieutenant Jackson return to greet the council as well.
Ooh, yes.
He looks tired.
Goes it, Lieutenant Jackson.
He gives a very tired salute, looking like he wants to collapse. I have been working to try and get us another route into the castle. It's difficult. You mentioned there was a route in the basement before, but it appears that they found that and they've closed it.
Yep, makes
Shame,
sense.
but expected.
Which was disappointing. That said, I've had a couple of my men working, and while they closed that one, I have managed to dig a new tunnel into one of the prison cells. It's not big, but if you're wanting to send a small strike group in, past the main guards, especially while everyone's distracted with stuff outside, you could slip into the basement of the castle that way.
All right, that's our way in.
Very well done.
There will still be guards down there, of course, guarding the rest of the prisoners, but there won't be any, if Shaman can get a big enough distraction with everyone else, you should be fine.
Because Knudsen says, yes, an opening in the back is something that we will definitely utilize. You have done quite well, Lieutenant Jackson.
Oh, I'm such a child.
Now, I do apologize, but unlike Bron, mining for several days has made me rather exhausted.
You deserve the rest. You need not ask for it.
He nods, as he is now going to take a double long rest.
I bet. Damn.
But hey, yeah, he succeeded on his one. He got you an infiltration route via the basement.
Great.
Which, that's good.
Yeah, it is.
Wonderful.
Lady Mazzara will also come to greet you.
Still don't trust this lady.
As she shows up, walking into your council room, dressed in what appears to be the uniform of an Inquisition soldier.
Right.
The nefarious heretic council. I hope we can make all of your days slightly nicer.
Apostate heretic council.
Oh, my apologies. Yes.
I don't think after the cannon show you can make it better than that, but
I'll do what I can. I have I've been looking around, worming my way in with some of the guard forces. They're not perfect, but I've managed to establish myself a couple of inside contacts for you. That will be able to help. That have will help wherever you need them. Try and get your route through.
Ah, perfect.
They're not going to do everything, but they'll certainly be able to help open a couple of doors for you, get you past a few patrols, make it so you can get to the Inquisitor easier.
Yes, any advantage is a good one.
Mechanically, out of character, you will have a couple of bribes you'll be able to use during it to modify encounters.
All right.
Essentially, the bribe could be, Oh yeah, this guard who's actually got this person who's guarding the door is actually bribed already. He'll just let us walk past.
Oh, okay.
It could be. Oh no, that magical altar in the background's been sabotaged.
Mm.
All right.
Something like that. You've only got a couple of them to use, but you'll have the opportunity to use them when encounters pop up while you guys are infiltrating.
All right.
What
In a
Shaman
sort of in a sort of a karma in the dark approach. To...
Yeah. Basically saying that Lady Mazara has already bribed that guard for you. Or
Oh, that's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
cool. I like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
as it turns out that's the easier way to handle this kind of spy business, is saying your spies have already thought of that.
Yeah.
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 So I want to be someday.
So, I know. It's that particular approach to heist planning is a very good mechanic from that game. So
Moreover,
Oh,
I
co-opting
also
is good.
have a strange letter.
Addressed to whom?
You, Vickers.
Oh. Yes.
Zara's slightly confused, but she'll come round
Oh,
and
like he
offer you
knows.
the letter.
What?
Is it
You'll,
an alphabet?
you'll open it and read what it says.
It's a letter from your contact.
Yes.
It appears that your contact, because you requested to try and find other ways to, try and get your army in there.
Yep.
Try and aid them. Obviously, you've now got some pretty good ways between the door knocker and having one of the gates left open. So he's not really able to provide more than that, but he has managed to provide some interesting bits of information for you instead, which most notably informing you all tactically about information such as like, oh yeah, this is like when this like guard rotation switches place, and like this is when these people go off shift and go to bed, and these ones wake up.
Yeah. Like routines and stuff. Perfect.
Which, if nothing else, will mean it'll give your troops an advantage in the fighting, because you'll be able to time the fight at a conveniently bad timing for them.
Yeah, time it at a
Right.
midway through a change, and you'll have really tired and then really groggy, like half dressed, half undressed.
Yeah.
The effectiveness is some of the enemy forces will lose morale when I do the enemy rolls.
Awesome. Well, might as well announce the good revelations to the rest of the group and Mazara. It's he trusts her in that, not who, of course, the contact is, but that the information she provided was good information.
It's a she. Ah, the clues now.
Who knows?
I was rather curious when a red-eyed raven landed on my shoulder, though. That was odd.
Certainly their way of doing things.
She kind of stares a bit at Vickers, now clearly curious and suspicious of him. But she will leave it at that.
Hey, Mazar has her ways, and so does Vicus. So
Now, if you need me, I think I will join the dwarf in his drinking.
have fun.
Let me know if you need any more infiltration. I also suppose I should get this garb off. She looks at herself looking like an Inquisition priest.
Yes, Braun might attack you in his stupor.
Will be
Fashion-
unfortunate.
Wardrobe change, followed by drinks. Excellent.
Yes.
And she'll make her way off into the keep. She seems in a good mood, though.
Oh, she's done well.
Your men have done fairly well. All your people have done fairly well in their roles, I will actually reveal, which is quite good.
Oh, awesome.
Including somebody got a crit. Hi, Rodrigo.
Yes, Rodrigo, we paid you. You crit for us. Yay!
Gave the big monies as well, like the full.
The top monies.
Yeah, the top
Oh.
monies.
we cashed out on.
Please add to your troops from Rodrigo as apparently shows up is 20 inspired adventurers.
Oh,
Ooh,
good.
Adventurers. Oh, good.
Adventurers, interesting.
They are the
Wild cards.
yeah, the wild cards, the craziest and deadliest of all our troops.
they're not particularly high level adventurers, but they are inspired at least. So
Yeah,
You know how crazy adventurers are
yeah.
and what they will do to get riches. So
Yeah.
hold on to your fucking horses.
these ones have mostly been inspired by the ideas of fame and glory for them. Which,
Uh-huh.
Yes.
though of course they may or may not end up looting the Inquisition, but we deal with it.
Yeah, that's part of the deal.
They get some of it. They
Oh,
pull the
why
weight.
not?
If they kill them, they can loot it.
Yep.
With
Pretty
the,
much.
with the numbers we've killed, out in the field, and the 20 we've gained, I think
Yeah.
we're about on level footing.
All right.
Break even is a pretty good change.
That is a pretty good change. Yeah.
Especially seeing as I think we have the better elite forces, like
Yeah.
us compared to the Lord Inquisitor, his mage, and the legate. Those are the only 3 elites that even Sir Gideon was aware of.
But there is more news from your council.
Good.
It keeps
Hopefully
on coming.
good. Hopefully good news.
As actually, Lady Charlotte, your apprentice, is actually going to walk in after a few days.
Oh, good, Lady Charlotte.
And where is the token? There it is. I've just received word from home.
Oh?
I think you're. She unravels a letter and reads it. I, Duke Salasine Reinhardt, Duke of Greater Alsend and all territory there within, do not condone of the recent barbarism as presented by the unfaithful leadership of the local Inquisition forces, and hereby formally withdraw any future support from their continued campaign.
Oh,
Oh.
let's go. Yes.
Get him!
Get him.
Charge! While I wish the Inquisition the best in their duties, I can no longer, in good faith, provide monetary or further support of my troops. Though those I have lended to you, I hope will serve you well. And any further, before I give any further aid, I would request full repentance and a change in leadership from the local barbarian.
Oh.
Yours sincerely, the Duke.
Hold on.
Man, you like. I had to like talk to so many nobles for that. I'm so happy that actually struck well.
Well done.
And
The letters have been sent to all the local noble families, telling them to withdraw any support if they've given any.
Brilliant.
thank you, Charlotte.
Though most of us hadn't, it's still, I suppose, what you wanted. That he's no longer funding the operation.
It's precisely what we want.
Though he hasn't recalled the levies back strictly, but certainly being denounced like this isn't going to help anything.
He's not providing more troops. He's at least not going to see us win and then send his true army to fight us.
As you hoped.
As I hoped. I think I owe a certain lady a drink. I have a diplomat under my wings. That led this adventure. And
Yes, her.
yes,
Charlotte does not look impressed.
she has a reputation. of being very savvy in diplomatic circles and being quite ruthless at it. And when it turns out that the best way to make nobles actually do something is shaming them into doing it, someone
Fair
who will
enough.
tear them apart is rather good at it. As
I
is
see.
apparent, apparently.
I shall remember that if I need to deal with any nobles.
Yes, the harpy says you owe her a drink as well.
I do.
Charlotte sighs a little bit and goes back off to the other things.
Well, that's amazingly good news.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is very good
that's
news.
Pretty
This
good.
is like the dominoes are now falling, right? So
Yeah.
So he's not pulling back his troops, but
So, if I look at like the numbers I have written down, including the Skaldi, I'm not including the elite troops like the Shield Maidens and the Adventurers and the Knights in this. So that's our total force number of varying ability. The Dukes, the Inquisition forces were, excluding the Knights. That, however, we've reduced that number, hopefully, by the 70 we've killed in the field, which gives us an edge. But in elite forces, in the elite troops, we have double the amount of like special unit members than they have knights. We have 20 shield maidens, 20 adventurers. They only have 20 knights.
we're certainly in a good position, and I guess there would be more news to come, right? Or is this the last one?
There is technically a little bit more.
A little bit more.
Let's have it.
We're in a good position as we are now.
Let's see who's going to come up next. You actually get a one of the grey robed priests that was brought with your that was brought alongside your two radiant priests, who come up and greet the council, informing you that the halfling that was brought back has finally woken up.
Oh, perfect.
Halfling is alive.
He's still weak, but he is available to speak to in the infirmary if you need to.
All right.
Okay. If there's no one else to talk to, then why not? I guess. Like if...
No one else is immediately asking for your attention.
Okay.
Yeah.
sure, we can have a little talk with him, I suppose. At least find out who he is and what he does.
If he's willing to.
Oh, he's
Help
willing
us.
to.
Oh, he'll be willing. Like, what the fuck?
We just saved
Send him
him,
back
like,
up the ice otherwise.
He was.
Well, what I mean is, if he's willing, or he will have to be willing.
Yeah.
Have to be made willing.
Easy way and the hard way. Which one are we going with?
Yeah.
Alright, let's say hello to the halfling.
As you all in force head down to the infirmary. Admitting there are quite a lot of people in the infirmary, just for the fact that, people do get injured. It happens. And you don't have that many medics. Though admittedly, your Carthy has helped in this regard. Her strange spirit magic is capable of doing healing, and she has been assisting.
Knew she was a good choice.
She has a few spells that can heal groups of people, so
That's good.
but yeah. At the back of the infirmary, being guarded by a couple of your men because someone gave explicit instructions to not let him leave. Not that he's really strong enough to leave anyway.
Yeah.
Better safe than sorry. I don't know. This kid survived an ice. I mean, shouldn't. I don't know.
What you end up seeing is I say young, but I mean, let's be honest, halflings kind of also suffer from that situation of Oh, it's not often you see a middle-aged halfling in like appearance-wise. They tend to either look quite young or quite old.
Yeah.
So it might help that they have a naturally more like childlike physique almost. As he sitting on the side of the bed was kind of. I can get you his token. You can see.
Either a Frodo or Bilbo.
He's not actually in your council chamber, but
Oh God. He's 2 years old.
he's not 2 years old.
Man, when I first saw him in the ice, I genuinely said, "Holy fuck, there's a child."
Yeah.
And I was prepared to throw hands with the Fae, and then I realized that it was a halfling, and I was like, "Oh,
That
whatever."
you're prepared to walk away and let him die.
Yeah, sitting up in the infirmary bed, currently eating. They still look look a bit worse for wear at the moment. Initially, they look like from a distance they're a bit unremarkable, but as you get closer, you can see through, especially with them being less armored up at the moment, and just kind of a tunic and that kind of stuff. They have, you can see the patches of like shimmering green scales. They're thin, but they're there, kind of on their torso, a bit on their shoulder. Also, as well as various tattoos over them. Bit of an unusual individual.
Immediately get sorcerer vibes from this guy. All right. So who's going to, as it were, break the ice?
I mean, I was the one that spoke to him and
Allow
effectively
me to break the
I mean,
ice.
judged him for death, but I'll talk to him. At least
It
have
is
a rapport.
ice to meet you.
My God.
Well,
Stop.
I'm the one that's
Please.
meant to have the dad jokes. Come on.
Uh,
Yeah, I think Ceres will head this or walk up to it and say, "It's good to see you in a warmer place."
He looks at you with this really confused expression as he kind of takes a sip of the soup he was given. Hello, Miss. Do I know you? He looks confused.
Ceres will look to the party and say, "I swear to God, he doesn't remember anything. I'm taking him back." She'll turn around and say, "I was able to help in the deal to release you from the temple's icy tomb that you were encapsulated in."
Oh, so you're the one who brought me back.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know I spoke to someone about something, but I can't remember what happened there.
You were basically dead. It's understandable.
But I suppose. Thank you. Still kind of bummed that you couldn't save anyone else, but thank you for saving me.
It is a shame that your party could not have survived quite well as you did. Speaking of which, you seem to be a unique individual.
Which bit are you referring to? I presume he looks down at his own chest.
And the ability to survive in ice that's only a high-powered mage and a well-prepared artificer have been able to survive.
I mean, that wasn't. I mean, I had ways. Kind of.
Feel free
I'm gonna
to elaborate.
throws a glance to Ceres and then to the halfling, and says, "Well, my associates went to great lengths to free you from that icy prison. And so we are, of course, curious as to who you are, where you came from, why you were locked in the ice, and what you can do for us in return for setting you free.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Right. Yeah. He pauses from it, trying to psych himself up a bit. Yeah. Okay. One bit at a time. One bit at a time. So I'm Luck Wilford. I come from a small little village to the south. It's got hot springs. It's quite nice. I met up with a group of people. We had a drink at a tavern, and we formed an adventuring party. We went out, fought goblins, that kind of thing. You know, normal, like adventurers. I guess adventurers are kind of weird in general. He kind of pauses for some self-reflecting.
Amanas nods. It takes a certain type of madness to become an adventurer. That is for certain.
Do we count as adventurers? I don't think we do.
No, we are filled with glorious purpose.
Oh.
And
Did
this
you
is
say that I was in the younger
this is
day
this is
madman?
this is the difference between adventurers and crusaders.
Crusaders, yeah.
Also, is this fucking half-breed tricking us?
But
I
anyway,
want to roll insight.
you can roll insight.
Yeah, inside him up.
It's very nervous as fuck.
I
That's
mean,
what's wrong.
he's a halfling. He's naturally sneaky.
Yeah,
Yes.
he actually sneaks.
15?
You don't think he's saying everything so far, but you don't think anything so far has been a lie.
Yeah. So far as his backstory.
You better not lie to us, boy. We make things very unpleasant as the fiendish spider clicks forward.
Yes.
Back to the ice.
But yes, so I yeah, so we were venturing around. We've been doing it for a while now, a couple of months. We've been dealing with the gnolls a couple of times because, well, people paid us, and you know, gnolls were causing trouble, so it seemed like a good idea. Like, I'd rather not have random people die to gnoll attacks. During that, we came back and we reported to the local government people things. I didn't tend to talk to them meetings too much. Point is, we kind of informed them of some of the things we saw, and they were really interested about some like totem shrines we found. They said that the Blood Witch might be there, and could we escort them? And so we agreed. I mean, they're also paying us, which helped. So yeah, we escorted them up the mountains. It wasn't too bad. And then, well, apparently it wasn't Blood Witch person. It was like ancient temple, apparently, and we all got frozen in ice, and that was really bad. And apparently, all my friends are now dead. I think that about covers that bit.
So, to elaborate, the totems were outside of the temple, and once the Inquisition started destroying them, the ice mephits and the pixie inside took offense and decided to attack. It
They never
culminated.
said anything about desecration to us. They just said that they were looking for, you know, a witch.
They're the Inquisitor. They desecrate everything they touch. But ultimately, it resulted in a fight that stretched from outside the temple right into the inner sanctum, where Zed and I finished the inquisitorial forces off.
I see. Did they not get paid for
your-
that one then?
Your friends were already dead, I'm afraid.
I suspected so much. The bow lady was really nice about it. Explained some stuff.
Yes, the bow lady. It's
Is it
Lady
not-
Eliza to you, boy.
Lady? Oh, she's nobility. Oh,
She's gonna be the Earl of this
Yes.
land
He-
soon.
As you mentioned, she's going to be the Earl. Like he looks, and you immediately just see like his temperament suddenly go like, oh shit.
Oh god, he doesn't even realize who he's
Oh
talking
shit! I
to
called
right
it
now.
Errol the bow lady.
So, what skills do you have precisely?
I mean, he kind of pauses a bit. I
Do you
don't.
have any skills?
I mean, I'm an adventurer. I go around exploring places. I'm okay at combat. I know a tiny bit of magecraft, but I'm not that good at it.
Nas looks over to Vicus. Clearly, this kid is out of his depth horribly.
That is not why we kept him.
But
It's true.
The tower of a mage in the north. You said in your haze that you had been there.
when we were scouting out some of the knolls, we followed some, and there was this massive area of like ruins. It looked like it was once like a huge elven city, though it's like all in pieces now. And there was like this large tower in it, which was like glowing.
You think you can get us back there?
My head's a bit hazy, but yeah, I should be able to. It's pretty cold on the road, though. Sadly, we don't. My partners had ways of dealing with that.
We have a way.
Well, if you think you have ways of dealing with it, then yeah.
How long did it take you to travel there? Through the cold?
Well, sadly, one of my party members was really good at like having to like navigate the mountain trails a bit better than I am. With her help, we managed to do it in about 4 to 5 days.
Ceres looks to Zed. How do you think you'll hold up in mountain trails, Zed?
You have Lady Eliza.
Yeah, Lady Eliza too.
You can never get lost as long as it's inside an Arctic terrain.
That's true. Okay.
So between Zed and Lady Eliza, I think we're good.
Then
He can give directions, but he doesn't necessarily like know the train, like how to survive the train the best.
that's
Yeah.
fine.
I can survive in there, but
There we go. He has the directions. You have the skills.
And
So-
Lady Eliza has the do not get lost button.
So is he worth keeping? Like, what does
Yes.
if he can't really say what he can do?
I mean,
Well,
He gives us direction to the tower. That's
Yeah, I mean, yes, but
that's
mean-
his main.
is he a
benefit.
character to invest resources in as pertains
no,
to our
no, 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 no,
retainers?
no, no, no,
At the
no,
moment,
no,
definitely not. He needs to
no.
sell us.
Hold on. Vicus will look at him and say, how old are you?
26.
Insight
And how-
immediately.
And how long have you been adventuring?
I mean, only a couple of months. I did training before that. I wasn't really planning to do like adventuring, though, originally. I kind of just fell into that originally, I'll be honest.
You don't quite just fall into adventuring. You usually choose to, or it finds you. What happened?
I mean, fine then. The side of the cliff chose me as I fell literally into a goblin camp.
Fair enough.
And then we fought off a lot of goblins. And basically then, like, me and a few other people, because there were a couple of people that were all like captured, and then I rescued those, and then we all fought our way out, and then I formed a party with those people. And that's basically how it happened. Yeah, Q Tavern, and then everything else I said.
Over the telepathic link here, Vicus would mention that perhaps that he would be useful for basically exploring and collecting stuff that they need, like reagents and all that. Like, he doesn't necessarily have to be on the forefront of stuff.
No. Sure.
But adventurers are good at adventuring and dungeon diving, so
Sure. I'm just not sure what class he is or like what he does, if anything.
I mean, maybe he's being shifty on it. Who knows? But
the whole draconic thing is suspicious as well. That needs to be investigated.
Yeah,
of course.
Anyway,
I think for now his charge would be to give us the directions there, whether he wants to come with us or just give us detailed.
I think he comes with us.
Yeah, he comes with. I mean, because we'll ask. We plan to go to that tower, and we plan to bring you with us to show us the way. However, when we finished our business, what had you planned to do after you'd finished, well, what you had been paid to do?
We planned to collect our reward and then travel south. I'd really only ever known the north, and we'd all kind of decided we wanted to get away from, like, try going somewhere warmer. I have no idea what really like the south is like. I heard the nobles down there tend to dress in like much more puffier hats, like covered in feathers and like masquerade masks, that kind of stuff. But I don't know if that's true.
It depends what's in fashion. It changes every year or so.
But I just kind of wanted to explore a bit, see other places. It's kind of boring, just kind of growing up in like a little temple for years and years and years and not doing a lot.
Wait, let's stop you that. A temple?
Right, I kind of skipped a bit. Yeah. I mean, that's not super important. I just kind of grew up. I was taken into like a temple when I was younger. It's not a big deal.
It is a big deal. You have dragon scales in your skin. Now, cough up the story.
Yeah.
The old man is ranting. You have to appease him immediately.
He looks a little bit like overwhelmed, like he doesn't like talking about himself. But like, okay. I mean, it's not that big a deal. There's like, okay. So essentially, yeah, I was taken in as an infant. I don't really know what happened. I just kind of like, it always got told to me just I was orphaned. No one really would tell me why. But I was taken in by the temple's master, and he admittedly did teach me how to control what, like, apparently my magic does come from my blood, and apparently the scales as well. Somehow I'm linked to a dragon. I don't know how that works exactly, but I do pour the energy to the surface, and then my master also taught me how to like fight as well. Though I wasn't actually that good at using magic to fight. I was far better at his style of fighting, which admittedly involved a lot more hand to hand.
Would Ceres know what like a draconic bloodline is for sorcerers?
I mean, you know the idea of a draconic bloodline. It's almost a stereotypical sorcerer bloodline.
Yeah.
Wait, is he a monk?
Yeah, is he a
He's
monk? Like
sorcerer.
a scaled fist monk.
So he's
The ascended dragon monk.
he's a dragon sorcerer monk.
I mean,
A draconic bloodline sorcerer monk.
I mean, he can just be a monk.
No, he's literally said that he's got power in his blood. That's where
Yeah,
he gets
but
the
like
dragon scales from.
The ascended dragon does have draconic powers, like breath weapons and that kind of things.
The point is you guys have a decent idea here on the whole point of he is a draconically themed like monk.
Monk,
Yeah.
right. Is that right?
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have a kung fu dragon monk halfling. kid.
with some, like he has infectious abilities, so you don't know if those are just like monk abilities or if it's something else entirely. But
Gotcha.
Oh,
Cool.
he is. He's welcome to stay. As long as he wants in the camp. If he wants to continue his journeys, I mean, we can't really stop him. He's not involved in our fight in any real way. But if he wants to stick around and help out, I mean, we need all the people we can get.
Yeah, but at the very
Um,
least, he definitely strongly suggests that he show us the way, at least in payment to Lady Eliza,
Yep.
getting him out, and then he can go as he wishes.
Payment for his
Wants us
life, he takes us to the tower, and then he's free
Yep.
to do what he wants.
Yep.
I have no problem with that. You saved me. I'll do my best.
What
Excellent.
we ask of you.
Then after that, he can decide for himself what he wants.
Not. I hope I don't have to do it like right now. I'm barely able to stand up.
Oh, of
No,
course
no,
not.
We have a city to take first.
I think to take for. He looks so confused.
Perhaps it best that you get some rest.
You know, so I'm sure he could talk to some of the
Yeah. No. Basically, no one's really explained everything to him. So.
No, he can find that out on his own. He just talk to someone.
Now that he's like awake-ish, he can probably like glean some stuff by just asking around.
Yes, he is some kind of skilled fist though. So enjoy that.
Oh, I like skill fizz.
Oh.
I
But
shall
that-
request more guards on him.
War guards.
Yes. Like I don't
Why?
trust him at all.
Oh,
No.
okay, sure.
But you don't think from your insight, you don't think anything he said was a lie.
No, but I don't trust
You
him.
do think you do think he's just the kind of person who just doesn't like talking about themselves.
Yeah.
Not because they're hiding anything, just because like
They're comfortable. Yeah.
like they're not used to talking about themselves. They're more used to like listening to people than talking about themselves.
Yeah.
He was not the leader of his party.
No, he was not the face of the party.
Definitely not. Just punch people. All
Punch,
right. Well,
punch people and reflexively absorb elements using his power.
awesome.
Which
Well, that's
itself
cool.
adds,
We
like-
got a
Would he?
draconic
tell
halfling.
us- Sorry. You go first.
Oh no, I was just saying it was cool that we have him awake and alive and
Yeah.
useful.
The fact you had a life cleric here really helped.
Yay. See, guys, all our work is coming to fruition.
Will he know the name of the temple?
Yeah, I can PM you that to you later if you want.
Yeah, like I want to do a history check on if it just knows anything about the temple.
I'll PM that to you later then, so you can look over that.
Sure. Great.
I don't have it immediately to hand, but that's not super important for the moment. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Well, I think this session was particularly good. If the Inquisition are narrowing down on our location,
Yeah, you don't have long to initiate the fight.
yeah, I think
It's
I
time
can see
for
next
next
session.
session
we'll
yeah.
fight.
We'll go now. It's time.
Yeah.
That was roughly how I saw this going. Is next time, it sounds like you'll have your army attack the front, and you sound like you guys will be infiltrating from behind.
Yep.
The only real question is, who will you be bringing with you on the front infiltration team, and who are you having stay with the forces? Busy, yeah. Are you bringing
Yeah.
companions along, and if so, whom?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I have to think about that.
We'll probably bring some along. Might bring like Lord Raiden, for example, just for the AC bonus to someone.
Don't bring Lady
Stuff
Eliza,
like-
because
No.
we need her on the
She-
front line.
For
Bring-
sure.
I'll bring Charlotte because she gives me a reroll once a day.
Sure.
She'll level up one day. Damn it.
It's more nice. One's for combat.
Yeah, once per combat. Yeah, I suppose.
I mean, she will eventually get the point to level up, either just through you throwing her at enough shit until she levels up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or from you actively spending time to train her. One of the two.
I've not had time to train her. Like,
You will have more time once you actually have a kingdom. But
yeah.
It's true.
at that point, everything kind of takes time. So
Yeah.
Could
you've
I have
kind
sent?
of got the frameworks in place. So for once you have the thing to get ready to also deal with the witch later.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I'm good.
Alright.
I'm tired. My God.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, if you know who you're bringing now, I'll go ahead and just add them to this room as part of the court.
I'll have to think about it during the week.
That's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine. There's no need to make the decision immediately. It's helpful if I know. That's all.
I think we'll bring
We'll bling up.
yeah, we'll bling up. Lord Raiden probably gonna come along for the infiltration because he has good buffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll probably take Mizara
Yeah.
to some degree. And
I think that's probably it. Like we want.
So good. You used Lady Mazara's stealth. Now it's time for her. Now it's time for her to blade dance.
yeah, I mean, we got to keep her occupied and give her exciting new experiences all the time. So
We want these two for the ballista.
Yeah.
They'll be blasting open the front gate for you.
These two I don't see actually fighting. Or these.
they're more like triage, right? And
Yeah. Gillian
Keeling.
won't fight. He's busy colluding.
He's a bard. He's like a level 1 bard. You don't want him in
We
Yeah.
need,
barding along.
we need these four
In the
front
battle.
line.
Yeah.
And then that just
So-
leaves these two, really.
Yeah.
And
Could bring Auntie Mikara, I guess, if we want just.
No, she's doing the gravity.
No,
bow.
she's doing the gravity ballista.
Yeah,
Right.
she has
She has to enchant
enchanting.
Oh,
very
first
well.
one has to operate the ballista. So
Yeah.
Can bring Theo.
no.
No.
He's a child, man.
Yeah,
You
let's
can't
bring the
him into-
child, the 13-year-old child, to a fucking bloody battlefield. Yeah, that sounds good.
Technically, you're not putting them on the battlefield. You're taking the infiltration team.
Yeah.
We shall be baptized in the blood of our
True.
enemies.
Maybe,
We'll bring
I don't
the
know.
16 We'll
Think
bring
about
the
it.
other teenager, but we won't bring the actual child into war.
Yeah, maybe when Thea's the same age as Charlotte is now, later, then yeah.
What? After several months of counselling. Well,
Yes.
a few years of counselling it'll be, but
Yeah.
it will pass surprisingly quick once you actually start getting onto Kingdom timescale.
Kingdom time scale, yeah. God, I need some way to get younger, or just to have someone to pass my skills on to.
Hey, don't worry. There is a chance that it could die before you, in theory.
Hey man, there's
Hey, true.
there's Karu that you could always bestow some knowledge onto. He's
Yeah.
sneaky.
But it's fine. I mean, even with these three alone, that's going to be a decent bit of support for you.
Yeah,
definitely.
that's pretty good.
Okay. But yes, this session was all talk, of course, because this was kind of all pre-set up stuff.
Yeah.
That's fun though.
I'm definitely gonna send a letter to the Viscount after I got the Sending Stone. I've been waiting just for the Sending Stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sending stone and all of your stuff will be ready a little bit after you manage to retake everything.
Hmm.
I thought you said the Sending Stone was.
The sending stone would be ready now because it's actually at this point.
Yeah. The other just.
The cloaks and everything won't be for a little bit after though.
No. Yeah, no.
They'll
Just,
take a bit more time to make.
I've got to send the Sending Stones over physically.
You need to get a messenger over there.
Yeah, so that's I think a week lead time until it gets there.
You need a runner.
Need a runner. I need to pay him well.
Someone who's light on their feet, fast,
Why I've got money.
adventurous enough to defend themselves against possible goblin attacks. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of those goblins, man, gotta deal with those. I've
Oh,
got
yeah.
plans. So many plans.
It's great.
I really need to organize my notes now. I'll do that tomorrow, but oh my god.
That's yes. Next time though, we shall initiate the fight. Though you won't really be on the front line to observe it this time. There will just be the NPCs really running most of it.
Yeah.
You guys will mostly be on the inside.
We can just hope they do well.
You have given them every possible advantage you have.
Yeah. So long as we do well in the back we can hope. I mean, who knows? We could finish our fight before the actual fighting is finished outside, and then we can go and help them from the back.
Yep.
You will of course get slight updates as the fight is going on. So that'll be fun.
Gonna buy some healing potions. They were available, I believe.
Yeah, you are free to buy healing potions.
Yeah, like that.